mean, I had a Four Loko on Saturday, so.
Who's
That
too
you
good
did.
for a Mad Dog?
You were there.
Yeah, it happened.
Have you heard Barry talk about Five Locos? Have I told you guys about this bullshit?
I had no clue the Five
Okay,
Loko.
so you know the history behind buying Four Loko. Like you had so much caffeine in them that it was basically drinking a bottle of wine, but there was so much caffeine you just didn't pass out. So people were being sent to the ER because of alcohol poisoning because their body just wouldn't shut the fuck down like you expect it to, right? Like you expect to pass out and piss yourself and you're good to go for the next day. But I guess there was so much caffeine in it that it kept people up to just keep on raging. And so they redid the whole formula. Like they took out some of the alcohol and most of the caffeine. Like they redid it because I think there were a bunch of attorney generals that were like, you can't sell this shit anymore. Like it's fucking killing teenagers, you know. And
It was banned forever here.
yeah, right. It was banned for a while, and it was when it came back, it was reformulated. And Barry and Cody, his I guess they're engaged now, so his soon to be brother-in-law. Like they would sit around and drink like the juices and the excuse me, the bosses and the fucking Four Locos.
Sir.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Whatever. And I was standing in this garage one night. He's like, "Hey, you want to do some Five Locos?" And Cody's like, "Fuck yeah!" So they each get a Four Loco out of the fridge. They take a big old swig, and then they open up a 5-hour energy drink and pour it in there.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like it made my like heart hurt just watching them do this.
I mean, they might as well just went and found some drug dealer and got an 8-ball.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
Like I remember drinking like 2 Sparks, and they're like tame compared to Four Loko, and like being all like heart fluttery and thinking I'm gonna die. So
I
that shit.
I think we almost killed the boy from Canada because he drank that Four Loko on Saturday.
Ooh. Hey, he's like, this is shitty, eh?
All that sugar hit him the next day, and
Oh man, yeah, and
I figured they chugged maple syrup. Did they not do that?
that's in Vermont.
yeah. Well, he should have been able to handle it anyway. They got enough syrup up there. I heard a story. This could be an urban legend, but I think Barry backed me up on it. That he'd heard the same story about some kid that poured, like 5 or 6 of those Four Locos, and just like he made himself a 20-ounce glass full of not Four Loko. I'm sorry, 5-hour energy drinks, and then just drank it, and like he went in, like heart palpitations and shit. Like I just, oh god, I just the thought of how that would make me feel is a bit nauseating. Like, it makes me want to go to sleep thinking about drinking that. Like all I would want to do after that is, like, just sleep. For fuck's sake, 3 days later. I just want to go to sleep.
Drinking the canned beer, eh?
Yeah.
Like
man.
heathen.
The keg's out. I'm over here drinking canned beer like a fucking pilgrim. But,
Well, shit. The last time I heard you talking, the keg was out. I mean...
That was a different keg.
Oh,
Yeah.
I already floated another one.
Yeah. Rachel was in town for a while, and we
Like clockwork.
Yeah, when she's honestly, when I'm by myself, like when she's in Huntington, it's about a 6 to 8 week process. It's like almost like clockwork. When we both live together, like in the house, 4 weeks. Like fucking, it's like the electric bill. It's due on the 15th every month. It is. It's actually part of my like middle of the month bills in our budget and everything. Like people make fun of me, but it's right there.
What? I thought that fridge held like 3.
It holds one 1/2 barrel Miller Lite, and it can hold 2 6-barrel what are they called? Corny kegs for homebrew.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
At least you're pouring it into a glass. I mean, you gotta keep it classy.
Right. I mean, I got like 8 more down here by my feet, but I'm surprised I have electricity with the keg pop. It's fucking insane. All right, well, let's go ahead and get this started. We've been recording for a while, so it's not a big deal. I don't think our sponsors will mind us talking about alcohol. All right, everybody. I am Justin Woods, and this is the Woodscast. We are down a woods this week. My brother, Shay, is on his way to Vegas, I believe. I did not know anything about this. So I called in a few favors and got some friends to sit in with me today, so we could bang out a podcast about all of the absolute nonsense that's going on right now. Back on the podcast, I don't think you were on the Purple Report, but you've not been on the Woodscast, John. Our buddy John Maddie from the Bluegrass.
Yeah, I'm waiting to kill the Woodcast and make it something else.
We got plenty of names saved up because we never researched the names, so somebody could sue us at any time. But I doubt anybody has the Woodscast. And also, going to sit with us today, a newcomer, my buddy Gatlin Greer, also from the Bluegrass. I mean, you guys are like, 3 miles apart?
Yeah, we probably should have just done this together, but then one of us would have to get a Uber or Lyft on the, to get back home.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Gatlin. It's always we always have a good time. I mentioned to Rachel that you kind of contacted me and wanted to come on the podcast, and she's like, "What's he want to talk about?" It's like, well, I asked him the same thing. He said he just wanted to be involved, and she said that was like the most Gatlin thing to say.
Well, I mean, that's about all I've got to offer.
And it's all worth throwing up. I mean, this is the only podcast that really shouldn't be allowed to drive to or from the studio afterwards, and we're totally okay with it.
I'm hoping I can at least walk to the bathroom afterwards.
You should be able to. We should be able to pull that off. Shay's constantly sending me messages after we record the podcast because, like, I try to make the title some kind of joke about what we talked about, and he's like, I have to think really hard sometimes about what that joke meant because I don't remember like the last 20 minutes of the podcast. I'm like, well, I mean, because all you see is Shay just fucking vaping and drinking whiskey straight, so it doesn't surprise me at all.
I feel like the last one got pretty ridiculous from listening to it.
It was pretty dumb.
Oh boy, drinking red wine the entire time.
Yeah,
mixing with
buddy
tequila.
Dave. Yeah, Shay's buddy's Dave. He's fucking crazy. He I keep a running outline, and I sent you guys an outline, but we don't have to stick to it at all. But it's just anything that pops up.
We're already off of it.
I know so. we weren't even fucking close. We didn't even start on it. But it's just anything that pops up in the news that Shay and I find interesting. I just throw on like a running like thing in my phone. And I asked Dave if he wanted an outline. And I think he was like, no, I'm just gonna wing it. And then later he's like, man, we really should have had an outline. I'm like, God damn it, Dave. But he was fun. He wants to come back on. I
felt like he was kind of like the rug in Big Lebowski. Like he really tied it all together.
He did. He did. And the thing you need to know is that anytime Shay's not talking, he's like hitting a bong or something, whatever little hookah thing he has. So like whenever he did talk, he was like, "What?" It's always good when you watch Shay in mid sentence lose what we were fucking talking about. So that's always fun. All right, well let's actually look at our little outline here and let's get this going. Okay, so first of all, housekeeping and numbers. I'll go through the numbers of the day, but first thing, this is the first time I've talked to you two in a long time personally, and haven't seen Gatlin in a while. So Gatlin, first of all, congratulations on the baby. For those
man. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gatlin and his wife Katie she's like 7 months pregnant now, 7-ish, 8-ish.
January 20th. So
January 20th. So do we know boy, girl yet? Do we have a name?
Girl.
Justin.
Girl.
Oh, I wouldn't name a girl Justin. Don't do that.
What about Justina?
There's actually Justina at the lab, and it's kind of weird when we're in the same room, but whatever. But no,
we've already made a few jokes about it. Her name's gonna be Isla, and we're already trying to figure out how to have her explain how to tell people how to say her name when she gets older, because everybody's going to be saying Isla or something like that.
Yeah,
she's going to have that Kentucky I, so it's going to be
Isla. I mean, my brother's name is Shay, and that's a girl's name, so I'm sure she'll get over it.
I mean, Jack's already like, turn out the light.
Yeah. That's good. And for those of you who've never met Gatlin's wife, Katie, she is, let me just put it this way, she's not as big boned as I am. So right now, I have to imagine Katie looks like she's trying to smuggle one of those little Oberon kegs into a Jason Isbell concert.
Oh yeah, it's kind of scary where she's, looks like she had one of those pumpkins in her shirt, and that was about it.
Okay, that's good. All right, that's awesome.
Justin, I didn't see you bring in the Jason Isbell reference. I'm kind of shocked by that. That came from you tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, she would have to take in the beer because his music is horrible.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, next up on the agenda, first time I've talked to John in a while. John, congratulations. John and his wife, Katie, different Katie. Just had a little boy, Sam, right? He's
Help me, please.
He's like, what, a month or two old now? No, he's not even that old.
He'll be October 4th, 4 weeks tomorrow.
Yeah.
4 weeks tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and so and one thing, and I not to make you think that you were like a second or third choice, John, but Rachel and I have actually talked about this. Shay and I were consciously not asking you to be on the podcast because we figured it was just a fucking hellscape at your house at this point.
Oh, it's absolute chaos.
Oh, he had to take the trash out every day this week just to be able to do it.
Oh, there's shitty diapers everywhere. They're like landmines.
Well, that's good. At least you're having fun with it because, I sent a message.
I wouldn't go that far.
I sent a message to John. And I was like, it's like, yeah, we usually do it around 8 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock Shay's time, and it's 9 o'clock in your all's time. And I was like, if that fucks up your schedule, just let me know. If you got a different schedule, I'm free whenever. And he's like, it's just all fucking chaos. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm probably not sleeping tonight anyway.
All right.
Hey,
well,
go get you a 4 Loco.
Make it a 5 Loco and fucking turn it up to 11.
There you go.
Yeah. Wake Katie up and ask her if she wants to party. All right.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's not going to work out. All right, so what are the numbers of the day? So we are in, so today is Wednesday, October 31st. Happy Halloween. It is the 650th day of the Trump administration. We are 6 days to the midterm. It's been 142 days since Donald Trump solved the North Korea nukes crisis, so thank God. It's okay. Polling. As of Monday, Donald Trump's polling was 40% approval rating. For Gallup, 538 had him at like 42.2, which is a bit of a dip since last week. We'll talk about that when we talk about the midterms. And as we sit here, and we'll get into this a little bit more, House forecast, and next Tuesday, there's a 1 in 7 chance the Democrats could take the House, according to 538, and a 6 out of 7 chance that the I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 1 in 7 chance. Yeah, 1 in 7 chance the Democrats will take the Senate, and 6 in 7 chance the Democrats will take the House. I've got it written here incorrectly. But we'll get into that when we talk about the midterms and what the absolute fuck is going to happen there. Fun stuff.
Good grief.
What's that?
Midterms? I have a poll. I have a poll for you here. I don't know if you saw this today, but the USC Dornsife LA Times poll, which predicted Donald Trump would win the presidency, they currently have on a generic ballot poll that the Democrats have a 17-point lead. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
I heard that, and the LA Times poll was like, I hate to say it, but like during the entire 2016 election, they were like always the outlier. And
yeah,
I don't know, like I don't know if you guys ever listened to Nate Silver's podcast, but like there's some really fucking funny parts where they're like, so when are people gonna stop giving you shit about 2016? He's like, oh, never, like fucking never.
I'm telling you what, I mean, if they're right on that one right there, we might need to hit them up for some sportsbook information as well.
Yeah, well, and I don't know shit about the Los Angeles Times except that it usually usually pairs with some type of institution to make polls like this, and they generally, or at least in 2016, didn't follow the trend of everybody else, and I mean, I got nothing to say about it anyway. I mean, it's, let's just skip ahead to the midterms here. We'll fucking talk about third quarter growth whenever, because that's just a pet peeve of mine. So yeah. What John was saying about this new poll, this 17%, like that was one of the things I want to talk about too, because 538 has been saying for a couple months now that the generic ballot at about 7 or 8 or like 7 to 9% advantage for the Democrats would be a pretty good indicator that Democrats would take the House. If the generic ballot went up to 12 or 14, in that neighborhood, then they had a chance to take the Senate as well, just because of the added votes that quote unquote would entail. And if this poll, like John said, is any indication of what the fuck's going on, then they have a real chance to do it. Nobody seems enthused about that option either. I don't know. I'm skeptical as fuck. I have a list of races I'm watching, but like it seems a pretty sure thing they'll take the House. But the Senate is such a long shot.
I mean, John and I know firsthand. I mean, we're involved in one of the biggest ones that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And
I get a lot of material from her. I can't.
I mean, the last thing that I saw, I mean, they were, just nose and nose. Like it's like watching a nice tight little horse race. I mean, you don't know which one's going to come out on top right now, and I mean it's only 5 days away.
And she, I don't remember her name. John or Gatlin will know it, but she's going up against Andy Barr. I know his name, right?
Amy McGrath.
Amy McGrath.
Yeah. Sorry, I lost you guys for about 10 seconds.
Oh,
so I kind of.
Yeah, we got a storm situation going on right now, so a little lagging maybe.
Yeah, one of our first podcasts with Jay, like his power went out and he was just sitting in his Jeep with his iPhone, like fucking charging it from the outlet. It was funny. But
dedication.
No, yeah. But no, like Amy McGrath, I get a lot of stuff from her just because I guess my name still shows up on her, Democratic rolls of people to contact for votes. So from when I lived in Kentucky. But I have always just disliked Andy Barr. He just strikes me as a dumb fuck. And he has a dumb fuck face. I know that's ad hominem and it has nothing to do with his politics, but his politics are shitty too, so whatever.
Oh, I mean, it's been absolutely ridiculous the past few, even maybe months, just the actual slander that he's using as his political campaign. I mean, that's literally all he's doing is throwing things that she's not even actually literally said.
Well,
he's just kind of loosely making these things up and saying them, in his TV ads. And I mean, if nothing more, that's going to drive people away from voting for him.
And let's be clear, he's slandering a combat veteran.
Yeah,
one of the first
a fighter pilot.
Yeah, one of the first women fighter pilots. And he's like, hey, he's such a disgusting human being.
I've heard he's actually a fairly nice guy compared to most Republicans. Personally,
he's nice to talk to. That's for sure.
He's a politician. He's not going to be like, "Hey, you dumb yokels."
He is a politician.
I will say from watching. It wasn't really a debate, but their discussion the other night. I was actually a little disappointed with Amy McGrath just from the sense that I really didn't get any substance at all from her. Not that Andy Barr was any better necessarily, but I feel like she's pretty much running on the fact that she is a vet and not Andy Barr.
Pretty much. I mean, I
would do the same thing. Fuck.
Either.
Which I don't know if like I said, you cut out for 10, 15 seconds, so I don't know exactly what I'll discuss, but there was I forgot even his name, like Frank Harris or something like that, who's a libertarian candidate. He didn't get to talk a whole lot, but it was pretty hilarious what he had to say.
Oh, it's a good thing that he didn't. If you've looked at his website, I mean, that says enough right there. I mean, he seems like he's a good guy. He's been in Lexington all but 1 year of his life where he went to college his freshman year, but then he came back with the UK. If nothing else, he is a math professor, if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
I mean, every one of those guys are lunatics, in my opinion.
He was straight up crazy, but it was kind of, like a breath of fresh air to some extent.
Oh, for sure.
Not that I'm saying I will vote for him, because I think that some of his ideas are just batshit crazy, but, sometimes you got to respect that.
Well, that was the beautiful mind coming out, didn't he?
Well, I mean, there when we here in Illinois, like one of the primary Democratic candidates for the governor's race is because they have a Republican governor right now that was supposed to come in and fix everything the Democrats had fucked up for decades. He was supposed to be the saving grace, and he has just gone tits up on everything. So like even the Republicans here in Illinois are like, yeah, fuck Bruce Rauner. We want somebody else. But he won the primary, and there was a math professor that was running on the Democratic side. Like he had a PhD in math from I want to say Northwestern. But he got trounced. He got trounced in the primary by this billionaire named J.D. Pritzker. I'm gonna fuck his name up like 100 times, but I voted for him. I was like, yeah, you're not gonna win, but you're a fucking nerd. Here you go.
It isn't Pritzker like rich as all get out.
Oh yeah, he's
I
a
believe.
billionaire. He's a billionaire.
Yeah, and, he's pretty much he's up there with, I think with Soros as far as funding other candidates throughout the U.S.
Yeah, and there's this really funny story that's now I haven't lived in Illinois long enough to like really fact check this or give a shit, but it's a really funny story, and it's a kind of funny anecdote. Like apparently his huge mansion, like there was some Illinois tax, and the tax was based on how many toilets you had in the house, and so he ripped all the toilets out of his mansion for like a week and a half to save like $500,000. Now that's just funny no matter which way you look at it. To me, I mean, like imagine this billionaire with like one shitter and an 18-bedroom mansion for a week.
You know, that's kind of on the states for having that as like the criteria for whether or not you pay tax.
Right. I would tear out all my toilets and have one toilet and 13 urinals. That's what I would do, or something stupid like that. You know, fuck off. Speaking of races, have you guys heard anything? I know, John, you're from West Virginia, Gatlin. You were not born and raised there, but I was told kind of at homecoming the other weekend at Marshall's homecoming. I was told a little bit more about this the West Virginia's 3rd congressional district, and this kind of dovetails with what you were talking about, how there wasn't much substance in that debate, John. Like I've heard some weird things about this Ojeda Carroll Miller race, in that Richard Ojeda is like, you know, he's out there, he wants to answer questions, he's doing press, and Carol Miller is basically just sitting in her house and hoping that the R beside her name wins her the West Virginia's 3rd congressional district here. Have you heard anything about that, John?
Yeah, as far as my thoughts first is like he's very Trumpian. He's a very rough around the edges type of candidate.
Oh, okay.
I mean, ultimately he's running as a Democrat. He's very pro-teachers, pro-union, stuff like that, that obviously is better than what, you know, the Republican Party is bringing. But there's still a kind of a crazy element there.
Well, he's got a weird haircut.
He's very aggressive and almost like militant. And I mean, that's kind of what helped. He was the face of the whole teacher strike in West Virginia. So I think he saw that as an opportunity to kind of really push himself, I think, forward as somebody in West Virginia politics.
Kind of just banking off of it.
I actually read on 538 today as far as like the top 5 outperforming candidates comparative to the district they're in, and he was number 5. But I think they were showing that they were still predicting him like 10 points behind even then, because I think Trump won like that district by like 37%.
Oh, yeah.
So from what I've heard, it sounds like he has a decent shot, but going by 538, it's still pretty long.
Well, and what I had actually looked at that earlier today as well. I can't remember what actual site it was on, but I think it was 41% to around 37%. So it was a little bit closer that I was saying, and then a bunch of undecided.
Yeah, well, but the thing that cracks me up about this race, and like I had 3 or 4 different people come up to me at a tailgate where all I'm doing is smoking cigars and pounding beers, and since they know that I dig politics and I'm fucking liberal as shit, they're like, "Hey, have you heard about this Ojeda guy?" I was like, "I mean, I've heard about him on the news. You haven't lived in the state in over a decade." I was like, "No, but have you heard about the woman he's running against?" I was like, "Not at all." I was like, "Because nobody has." She apparently just doesn't do interviews, doesn't do anything. Like she's basically just gonna sit in her house. And my buddy Russ was sending me flyers that he gets in the mail. He's like, "I'm getting all these flyers that are just pictures of Ojeda," and he's like, "Oh, okay, great, an Ojeda mailer," and you're gonna throw it out. But if you actually read the Texas on it, it's all like shit talk about Ojeda. Like, and it's not her sending it out; it's the Republican Party. So like, Carol Miller is apparently just sitting in her house, just thinking, you know, like I said, hoping that R beside her name wins her the election, and the Republican Party, you know, like John said, that has all these bad ideas compared to Ojeda, in our opinion, is sending out all the mailers for her. Like, they're basically running her election for her because she's sitting there, you know, I hope she's sitting there fucking sipping a martini, because that's what I'd be doing. It just seems like, and it's this, and like that's one example in this long line of people. I mean, we've heard it for the last several years, you know, like these representatives and senators that just won't meet with their constituents, won't have a town hall or anything when their constituents are really pissed off, to the point of like some places are having town halls with a cardboard cutout of your representative, just so they can like make a show of asking the cardboard cutout questions that the representative won't show up to answer. And like, Yeah, I don't give a shit where you come from. If people are filling a city hall and shouting questions at a cardboard cutout of you, you fucked up.
Well, I think in this case, where Ojeda is playing come from behind by so much, that she probably just has no reason to spend much money and really have any effort at all in this race. Because if you look at least at the polling, she should win easily. But
Really?
yeah, I mean, even 538, like I said, I think the last I saw, they still had her up by like 10%. So.
Huh. I mean, like I was saying, like I was kind of asking you, John, because you a little closer and more involved. Like I knew nothing about this race except the fact that the Republican didn't want to do anything to win it, and I guess just being a Republican would work in West Virginia nowadays.
I still think it's going to be closer than that. He's been profiled as possibly like the new face of like the conservative Democrats. You know, he's been in several national publications as somebody who's kind of bucking the trend and
whoa. You mean we're not going to let fucking Manchin be that guy anymore?
I don't know.
I mean,
he might not even last
also.
Democrat.
I mean, he's an Army vet too, so I mean that's gonna influence people a little bit as well.
He's definitely pro coal as well. So
I mean, bingo again. I mean, there are going to be outliers that fingers crossed, I guess.
I don't know. I just thought that was a weird race. Like everybody was explaining it to me. I was like, "What? How are you going to run and not run? Like, what the fuck?" Oh well.
Nice strategy, Scott, and see if it pays off.
Yeah, I get. And if the polling shows that she's ahead, and especially in a state like West Virginia right now that have gone for Donald Trump so far, I don't know. That's what everybody's running on.
I do think there might have been an asterisk in the fact that they don't have much polling really from that race, so it still could easily end up being a toss-up. It's really hard to tell.
Could be the pure fact that they don't have enough polling from it that it's just a landslide too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and that's kind of my thought for this whole midterm, like going forward. Like, I don't know how much conservative radio you guys listen to. I listen to a lot. There's this weird thing going on where if a person has a radio show, like Sean Hannity's a good example. Sean Hannity has a radio show. That fucking slant-headed doughy bastard gets to talk for 4 hours a day and then complains that conservatives don't get a voice. And it kills me. Because, he totally isn't, 20 hours a week. He just runs his gob. But on his radio show, he is talking about a red wave. On his TV program, he is not talking about a red wave. Alex Jones says whatever the hell he wants because nobody takes him seriously. He's been talking for weeks about a red wave.
Hey, what? I mean, do they realistically think that that's a possibility? Or do you think that they're honestly, I mean, that's just what they're paid to do, so they're doing that. They're saying that.
I think it's more of that. I think it's like 80-20. Like Alex Jones doesn't believe a fucking thing he says, and we all know it, and he knows it, and it just doesn't fucking matter. Like
I don't even know if his beliefs are what he claims they are. I think they just pay. He's good, not necessarily good. I mean, he aggravates the shit out of you, so obviously he's good at what he does. Yeah. I mean, maybe he just doesn't really feel that way, and he's just doing it because they're paying him a shit ton of money to say it.
That's exactly what it. I mean, he said in court that his character on InfoWars is a character. He was saying that to try to keep his kids in a divorce settlement, but I mean, Alex Jones had a real come to Jesus moment on November. It used to be 5th or 6th, 2016, because he was ready to have a 4-year fight against the demon that was Hillary Clinton, and how she was raping kids and eating blood of kids and basically just using kids' skulls for ashtray. Like he had this whole thing set out to just be the lone voice that was fighting against the demonic Democrats. And then she lost, and the fucking bottom fell out of his whole business model. And so he had to retune it real quick to be like, you know what, Donald Trump is fighting the evil demonic Democrats who want to use babies' heads for. I mean, it was a quick retool, but
he was even claiming that she practiced witchcraft.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe she does in her spare time. I don't know. I've never hung out with her at a party.
But yeah, like Mike Gallagher, he's a conservative talk radio host that is on here. I don't know where he's out of. Mark Levin has said it. Mark Levin's a pretty big name on Fox. But like all these people will say this on the radio program because the radio programs can be way more conservative than they can be on their their primetime shows, and just say whatever the fuck they want to. Like one of the reasons I had the GDP on the little rundown there was because the GDP this past quarter was really good. It was like 3.5. And I have no problem about the GDP being great, except the fact that Sean Hannity's been lying about it for like the last 8 years. He constantly says that Barack Obama, never hit above 3% GDP growth, and he did it like 12 times in his 8 years in the White House. And I was like, okay, well maybe he thinks it's like annually, and that's true. Barack Obama got close, but never hit 3% annual growth. Donald Trump was in the White House for 3 fucking months, and he's like, see, told you it just took a Republican to break 3%. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, how many months are in your fucking year? Like, what the hell's going on?
That is what gets on my nerves. They kind of act like suddenly, like even a year is like such a short amount of time for economic activity to for economic policies to actually lead to actual, whether it's growth, recession, what have you. It does. Things don't just happen that fast.
No.
And if you look at the chart that shows, each monthly growth
John, are you trying to bring facts to a feelings fight here? Because Sean Hannity can feel the fact that Barack Obama, maybe because he was an African American, didn't know anything about the economy, but he won't say that out loud.
You have to be from America to be African American, so.
Oh yeah. Gatlin for the win there. Fucking Kenyans can't do it. We'll get there. We'll get to the 14th Amendment and what that does or does not say according to Donald Trump's doughy ass. But yeah, I love looking at these numbers, and like John, you were saying, and Gatlin were saying, like there could be a landslide, and I'm just saying, like these people have been talking about this red wave forever. And Gatlin, I think you're right. I think 80% of it is they want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, where they're like, hey guys, we're gonna beat these demonic demon rats that are the Democrats, whatever the fuck Judge Pirro says. And we're gonna take our country back. We're gonna show that Donald Trump won this country fair and square. Blah 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 blah. But the Republican leadership is like fucking shitting their pants because like these guys carry a lot of clout, and you can't tell the voting public that it's a done deal. Month out when they need turnout. They need the turnout.
I think what's going to happen is they're going to, obviously, I won't say it's obvious, but it's very, very likely that they're going to lose the House. And they're going to say, well, that's expected. It's some conspiracy, blah, blah, blah. They're actually probably going to gain a seat, maybe 2 in the Senate. And they're going to use that to say, well, the Senate's a more respected House. That's where statesmen legislate some bullshit like that. And they're going to try to play that as, they've won the election somehow, even though they lost probably 50, 60 seats in the House.
Right. Sean, I know you're probably not sleeping a lot. You're probably tired. But are you going to sit there and fucking tell me that the president that said, yeah, I said grab him by the pussy, is going to be like, but I won the most respected and honorable House in the Senate?
If that's the one place he won, that's the one thing he's going to talk about.
But I mean, he's gonna swing it that way. I mean, if the Democrats take, the majority of the House, but the Republicans still have the majority of the Senate, that was Trump's whole idea the entire time. Right. Like he had some sort of scheme right there. I mean, that was his plan from the get-go. Yeah. I mean, that's how he's gonna swing it, obviously.
Well, yeah, and one of the things, Gatlin, I think you're exactly right, because like one of the things that absolutely unnerves me about President Trump, and you all heard me say it, President Trump, he is my president. I love when these conservatives are like, you won't even admit he's your president. Like, no, I fucking admit it. I just said he's a shitbag, but whatever.
I will just say he's the president.
There you go. Well, I will say, and
I mean, I didn't vote for him, so it's not mine.
I think I said. I think I've said this before. I know I told Rachel, but like I'm really happy that he uses his own Twitter, like the real Donald Trump, and not the POTUS Twitter, because then I know I'm splitting hairs here, but that means
on his iPhone.
Right, on his iPhone that he does not use a lot, whatever. But I get to send really rude things to Donald Trump, but still respect the office of the president. I guess those are the hairs I'm splitting on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have Secret Service coming at you for the ones you send to him to the real Donald Trump. No. Now, if you send us to POTUS,
that'd be it. Yeah,
you're fucked then.
Yeah, but no, he's gonna spin it, and it's gonna be whatever, you know. He's gonna say, he's already said that if they lose the House, it's not his fault. It's, you know, somebody else's fault.
Nothing's ever his fault.
No, nothing's ever his fault. But like, okay, so I know, John, you and I have talked about this before. Gatlin, I think we talked about this when we were sitting around your house watching football. Actually, I thought about this a lot. Basically, this podcast could have been recorded at Gatlin's house any Sunday in the last 7 years.
I've been telling Katie that for a while.
Right. Because I was thinking about it as I was driving home. Because, like, for those of you, I guess, that were not, living with me in Kentucky, listening to this, we always went over to Gatlin and Katie's house and hung out all day long on Sundays and watched football. And politics always fucking came up, and we were always drinking beer. So that's basically what we're doing right now. We could have just recorded this fucking podcast at Gatlin's house, you know, on Sunday. All you would have just heard more screaming from Katie if the Steelers were losing.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more. But yeah, so we talked about this before, John and Gatlin, that Donald Trump won the White House by like hitting that like 15 to 25% margin that you know, Real Clear Politics or the Cook Report. I think that's what it is. Is it the Cook Report? The other handicapper. I don't know. Cook something.
Maybe.
Here on the Woodscast, we're about 60% sure of 42% of the shit we say.
Never claim you know it. Just always fact check at the end.
I'll take a page out of Donald Trump's book. Somebody told me it was called the Cook Report. But yeah, like
say
Donald
it like
Trump,
you believe it.
Political report.
You're good.
Yeah, Cook Political Report. Thank you. But Donald Trump hit that window that everybody said he really couldn't hit. You know, like the dominoes all had to fall in a certain way for him to win the White House, and he did. And it was a margin of 78,000 votes between Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin that turned the Electoral College tide for him. Like that's a really fucking narrow window to hit. Like he lucked out like nobody's business, and that's why me, as a a constant beer half full kind of guy, I'm looking at these Senate races, like thinking how we could pull that off. So I'm gonna tick these off, and you guys can call bullshit whenever you want. So we got Kristen Cinema, I think that's how it's pronounced. She's like 5 in 8 chance of winning it. That she's in Arizona. That's a lean Democrat. Bill Nelson's lean Democrat.
She's up like 5 right now, I believe.
Yeah, she's up pretty good.
Yeah,
she's up pretty good. Bill Nelson in Florida is up about like 5 or 6 against Rick Scott, who is term limited out as government. I called a buddy of mine in Florida to ask. He apparently is running for Senate because he feels that snake people that wear human clothes aren't represented in the Senate, so he's going to run. That's why Rick Scott's doing that.
I would guess that your generic, the Florida man, the guy that you read about in all the like newspapers. The Florida man is a big proponent of Rick Scott.
Well, he's apparently going to lose. He's got a 2 in 7 chance. So Bill Nelson might take that Senate seat. So we're solid here. Now these are all lean Democrat seats. So these are the easy ones. Joe Donnelly in Indiana, which is kind of a weird thing because Indiana's like really red, but apparently he's running a pretty good campaign there. He's an incumbent Democrat, and I think he's from the Indianapolis area. So I think that's why he polls well in Indiana. 7 in 10 chance there. So
yeah, I mean, there's only there's not so many people in Indiana. The majority of them are from that area.
Yeah.
The rest of it's a bunch of scarecrows.
Well, and you got to remember,
and
Mike
abortion
Pence
signs.
was not a very popular governor at the time that he joined Trump campaign.
Okay. So we got some toss-ups. So now these are all Senate races again. Toss-ups. We got Jackie Rosen in Nevada. She's 4-9 chance of winning. To a 5-9 chance. So these are toss-ups. This is 4-9 to a 5-9 chance for her Jackie. No, wait a minute, damn. I said Dean Heller. I'm sorry. Dean Heller is the one, and it's Jackie Rosen's the Republican. And that's a state that everybody's calling that a toss-up because that's a state Hillary Clinton won. Donald Trump didn't win. The other toss-up is Claire McCaskill right now. I think this actually has changed since I recorded this morning. But yeah, Claire McCaskill has a 3 and 5 chance to a 2 and 5 chance.
I was gonna say I was thinking she's not looking very good comparatively.
No. Well, look good. So we give all those to the Democrats. Now here's where the shit hits the fan, gentlemen. The Democrats have to steal at least. Okay. Here's one more that's a problem. Heidi Heitkamp. I always mess up her last name. She can be picked off, but it's just a 1 in 4 because she's in North Dakota. There was that voter ID law that basically is going to disenfranchise a shitload of Native American voters, and so she's got a 1 in 4 chance there of winning that one. So we might lose that one, which means we got to pick up 2 more seats. So if we lose that one in the Senate, we got to pick up 2 more seats, and here's the 3. Here's the 3 we got a chance at. Beto O'Rourke in Texas. And that's the one I'm putting my fucking heart and soul behind because it's a long shot, but God, I fucking hate Ted Cruz. He's got the most punchable face.
I've heard you say that a lot.
Yeah, because have you seen his face? It's so doughy, and it's so punchable. And
he's the most hated man in the Senate.
He is. He's the most hated man in the Senate. He's been voted most punchable face in the Senate for 11 years now. He looks like a bleeder. He looks like if you hit him in the head, he would fall to the ground and squeal like that scene in Son-in-Law with Pauly Shore. Ever seen that movie? You smack him in the side of the head and he's gonna squeal and go, "Oh, why'd you hit me?" But he's just a deplorable fucking person. He's gonna run for president for the next 16 cycles. It's just a given. I listened to Pod Save America like fucking several months ago when they were in Austin doing something. They mentioned that he would run as a disembodied head in a jar in like 2075.
Like an episode of the Futurama.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Okay, so that's my long shot is Beto O'Rourke beating Ted Cruz. Phil Bredesen in Tennessee is a long shot too because he apparently said he would have voted for Kavanaugh and like that didn't go over well in Tennessee. The only reason I think we have a shot at that one is that T. Swift here has come out of the gate for Democrats, and there's apparently.
She ain't got 60, 70,000 people to sign up to vote, but they probably weren't even from Tennessee.
Well, yeah, that's the other thing, and also it doesn't guarantee that they were all Democrats. And I don't know. Of the 3, the other one that's a long shot is the guy that's going to probably get his taint kicked in. And that's Mike Epstein in Mississippi. I'm sorry, he's got a 1 in 8 chance, so he's probably going to get his taint kicked in. So yeah, if I'm calling long shots for us to take the Senate, it's Beto O'Rourke and Phil Dendison. God damn. In Tennessee. So Texas and Tennessee are long shots.
Yeah, I think Texas is by far your best choice.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think Tennessee's already taken care of.
Well, I want to see Beto O'Rourke win it just because I think he has such a bigger appeal nationwide that I think long term, if he can stay around, he is, I would say, probably a presidential candidate in 4, 8, 12 years.
Oh yeah,
down the road.
Definitely.
I don't know how he stays relevant if you lose in the Senate though. So he'd have to come around, whether it's get a House seat or I feel like you'd have to figure something. He's probably more.
That's true.
He's more popular nationwide really than he probably even is statewide in Texas.
That's true. And you're right. Like he could probably, even if he came close, like let's say he lost by 1% of the vote or whatever. If he came close, he would still be he's still a national name now, like you said. But it's hard to keep that recognition up in 12 years to run for whatever, you know what I mean? Whatever the next good opening for a presidential bid is for him. But, all right, yeah. No, so I mean, it's basically that's where we are. We just got to wait, see what the vote is. Right now, I think Shay and I are planning on actually recording Tuesday night. And I'm going to figure out how we can record and do this live on Facebook. So anybody who wants to Skype in is more than welcome.
I mean, I'll definitely be up. UK Duke games that night, so.
Who cares?
It's UK Duke.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything because Rachel does listen to this
I'll watch
podcast.
I'm going to tell I'm going to tell Katie that you said that.
Oh.
I actually cheer for like all of UK sports except basketball. I just don't really get
What a
into that.
joke. Go back to West Virginia.
Seriously,
Whatever.
why not, John? What the fuck? Like, I really don't follow a lot of college basketball. You know, I cheer for the schools I went to, but like,
I don't like cheer against them necessarily. It's more of like I just can't like get into it. Like I don't feel sorry for them when the one and doneers don't win like their ninth national championship. It doesn't register for me.
Well, neither do I, but it's UK Duke.
I mean, I'll watch the game. I'm not saying I won't do that.
Like, I feel like anybody that watches college basketball is going to be watching that basketball game.
Rachel gets mad at me because I will cheer for UK, and she's like, "You don't even know any of the players. You don't follow basketball." I was like, "But I'm getting a PhD from that school, so I'm gonna I'm gonna cheer for that team." She's like, "You should cheer for Duke." It's like Duke gives me a PhD in physics. I'll take it.
Ultimately, I'm going to cheer for UK in that because like they pay my paycheck, and technically, I am a UK student right now.
There you go. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Fuck it.
Oh, I'm gonna get you so fucking kicked out. I'm gonna send whoever I have to a copy of this right now.
The university is paying for my tuition, so it's all good.
We've only had. It's funny, Gatlin. I've only had to edit out one person's employment history. My buddy Adam, one of my fraternity brothers, he was like, he went on this kind of little rant about like what he did for his job, and he works for a law firm. And then like after we recorded the podcast and like later that night, he sent me a text. He's like, "Hey, can you edit out all that shit I said about my law firm?" He's like, "I'm not even sure I'm allowed to say their name." I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem."
Yeah, I have a job interview next week where if I get that job, I probably can't do these podcasts anymore. But
that'll happen.
We'll worry about that later.
Yeah, I got another buddy. My buddy Corey Denson. He works for a nonprofit in West Virginia, and like he is he's a Democrat, and he wants to come on the pod. But he's like, I just want to come on the pod and talk about like nonpartisan issues, like whether or not we should have the electoral college or stuff like that, because he has to go before a lot of Republicans in West Virginia to get grants and stuff. So it's like he's like trying to apologize to him. He's like, "No, dude, I get it. Like UK can't fire me, Argonne can't fire me. I'm good to go." All right, so let's get to the really shitty news of the week and like so we got to.
There's a lot of it.
Seriously, it's like we just like talking about the midterm used to be like the shitty thing to do. Now it's like the fun thing, it's the easy thing, it's the happy thing. But let's take a couple 20, 30 minutes and talk about the absolute shitstorm that had happened this past week and what that means. And like, I don't know, we're not going to fix this, but I feel like too many people are trying to gloss over like what really the Trump administration has to account for and at least act like they give a shit about. So, in this last week, we've had somebody who has been dubbed the MAGA bomber, and I'm not the guy that gave him that name. He gave himself that name. So a gentleman in Florida, we caught this guy now. I'm not gonna say his name. Fuck him. I don't want to know. I'm not gonna say his name. You can Google that shit. But a guy from Florida sent out, I think it was 14 pipe bombs to
Caesar Sayoc.
Caesar Sayoc.
Boo!
Yeah, I mean, like, no, like this fuckstick did this to get some notoriety. I don't think he was smart enough to actually take out these targets, but he sent out, I believe it was 14 pipe bombs to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Robert De Niro, George Soros, John Brennan, former CIA director, James Clapper, former intelligence chief, Eric Holder is former AG for Barack Obama, Maxine Waters, who's a...
he sent one to Stormy Daniels.
Really?
I'm fairly certain.
I didn't hear that.
I'm almost certain he did.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well, let me finish the list. We'll talk about that. So Maxine Waters, congressman from California, Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey, Kamala Harris, senator. Where the hell is she a senator? Does anybody know? I don't know that off the top of my head. Why don't I know?
California.
Oh, okay, senator from California. Joe Biden, former vice president, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is a congresswoman from Florida. Former,
her name was actually the return
address.
The Holder one ended up back at her office. Interesting stuff.
Little boomerang there. And Tom Steyer, who is a billionaire who has been running impeach Trump ads since he was elected. I don't know if you guys have picked up a pattern there, but they all seem to be Democratic leaders or Democratic operatives. And
now that you mention it, that makes sense.
All frequent targets of Donald Trump when he goes to these fucking rallies and just rails and rails and rails on everybody who doesn't tell him that he is a golden god of democracy.
Well, Trump has personally attacked pretty much every single one of them at some point or another. It's not like, they happen to be Democrats. They were like prime targets that Trump has had over the past 2 years.
Over and over and over again. Now, and several of these targets, CNN, I didn't list CNN because CNN is basically where several of these people like, I believe John Brennan's pipe bomb was sent to CNN because he's a CNN contributor. So MSNBC got a couple of them because of these people were contributors in their their news feeds. And so they were sent to these buildings. Those buildings were evacuated. Like you had the really, really kind of striking news coverage because of course the news is going to cover this shit, and they're of course going to cover it when they had to evacuate their own goddamn building. So you got all these guys and men and women standing outside, like on their cell phones, just fucking in like fucking standing on the sidewalk and in traffic, just like, hey, shit's getting real here, all day long. So. Yeah. No, these were all targets of Trump, and the main thrust right now is that Donald Trump and the Republican Party as a whole, and I don't want to throw the Republican Party on the bus, Donald Trump's the one that's been doing this for the last, 6 to 8 months. Like, there was, this all ties into the fact that he loves to go to these rallies and just talk shit about whoever he wants to talk shit about, and he just gets to walk into the next rally, and like he's not held accountable for any of this shit. Like, the stuff he says at these rallies, first of all, is almost 90% complete bullshit. Like he went to West Virginia and just lied to them about their economy. Like he said something about how they're open like 3 new coal mines. They actually closed the one. He goes to these rallies. He loves them because they just stroke his ego. And he says whatever the fuck he wants. He walks to the next rally. And the midterms has given him the chance to just do this. He's going to do like 11 rallies in the next fucking 6 days. Something stupid like that.
The guy knows what he's doing, though. Like, he's catering to a certain type of people.
Like, the thing. He doesn't know how to be president, but he knows how to be a campaigner who, that just goes around to campaign. He loves
a strong word there, Gatlin.
Well, he knows how to find a certain group of people that will just basically do what he fucking tells them to do. Mm-hmm. They had a rally, or I'll call it a Klan rally, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
The way that those people are. But they had one at EK.
What?
They had one at Eastern Kentucky University a few weeks ago, and like I watched it on TV, or watched parts of it because I could only handle so much of it. Well, it was just, Trump was there just saying this stupid shit that he says, and everybody's just sitting there cheering like it's like he's the prophet that they've all been looking for, and it's just comical. But it's not, because of how terrible it actually is and how it's becoming.
I didn't hear anything about that.
Oh yeah, he apparently shut down like half roads in Lexington for like a couple hours on
dude, you would have
Saturday.
been so pissed because if you had been trying to get home at that time, you would have been stopped because they had all Man of War closed. You would have, I mean, you would have been throwing beer cans at the freaking caravan. Not to throw that word out too early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, it's like, and that's the thing is like you were saying, Gatlin, he knows what he's doing and he knows who he's talking to. The problem is he's only talking to his base. Like, Donald Trump doesn't know how to be president, but what he does know how to do is go to these rallies and talk to that 35 or 40% of people that are going to stick with him no matter what. Like, he is not governing for the greater United States.
But those are people who I think, historically, I feel like a large group of those people are people who don't necessarily vote normally.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you keep them engaged and pumped up and what have you, they're going to go out to the polls and do whatever he tells them to. So
for sure.
It's going to make it a lot closer than it should be, just for the fact that these are people who will do whatever he wants them to, and they're not going to drop him. I mean, they're in for the long haul on anything he says, does, what have you.
And I don't know how much you all watch Bill Maher.
I do. I catch him every now and then.
Yeah.
On the most recent episode, they had Mooch, Anthony Scaramucci on there.
Cocaine made into human form.
But I mean, it's like what the point he was making was, you hate it or love it, whatever. The guy knows what he's doing. If you want me to tell you how to beat him, I'll tell you how to beat him because I was working for him. I know what he's doing. He's going to these certain people doing these certain things.
He only worked for him for like 7 hours.
12 days.
Yeah.
He was there 12
Well, actually, I think you're both right because if he was there for 12 days, that's about 7 work hours for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Because that Politico, I don't know. Did you guys see the Politico article this week? There's a Politico article that said that for I want to say it was like the 22nd to the 26th, they had Donald Trump's personal schedule because they're released like after so many days or something like that. And on the Tuesday of that week, he had 2 hours of actual 2.5 hours of actual work, like meetings and briefings, and he had 9 hours of executive time, which we all know is him like watching Fox News and tweeting. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for him,
12 days works out to about 7 hours of like actual fucking work for Scaramucci there, the mooch.
I mean, a typical round of golf is 3 hours.
Yeah, so. Right. Yeah. But like so you got. I mean, yeah, we agree that Donald Trump knows what he's doing. He doesn't know how to govern. He doesn't know how to be president. I'll give anybody my next paycheck if they can prove that Donald Trump has read the U.S. Constitution from start to finish. Just fucking my next paycheck is theirs. But he knows how to talk to these people that he thinks like John said that he pulled a lot of new voters in for 2016 that weren't usually engaged and they were like fuck it, doesn't matter. And when he started saying I'm going to build a wall, I'm going to kick all these Mexicans out there, like yeah, fuck those Mexicans, that's my guy. He he might be a lot racist, but he shoots straight, and so they voted for him, and he's not losing those people. And that's half the fucking problem here is because the White House, what was it? It was a day and a half after these pipe bombs and shit had been, we caught this fuckstick from Florida who had his whole van wrapped in
looked like a fucking NASCAR.
Right. Well, it looked like NASCAR.
He had more sponsors than NASCAR.
It was wrapped in a bunch of fucking Republican memes, and yes, I think somebody said earlier, like nobody, he'll believe what they tell him, like. What the Republican noise machine is telling him is that was a false flag. If I saw it in one place, I saw it in 30 places. They said in the Florida sun, all those decals would be warped and faded by that was a CIA.
Shit.
I mean, fuck right the fuck off.
He didn't have a Salt Lake sticker, so
right.
It might not be legit.
So
I've only seen those in like the Carolinas, so.
Thank you. I always see him in the Carolinas. I don't, but Donald Trump does this shit, and he says whatever he wants to say, and then the Republican Party goes around behind him, and the Pod Save America guys have a John Lovett on Pod Save America has a great analogy for this. He calls the Republican Party political zambonis. They go behind him and they clean up all this mess. They make it all smooth and make it tolerable. Because he says this shit like it was like a day and a half after, it was either a day or a day and a half after they caught this fucker in Florida, Donald Trump in a tweet and then at a rally called the media the enemy of the people. Again, like days after CNN and 2 fucking past presidents had been sent pipe bombs. He called the media and Democrats, evil and the enemy of the people.
He literally talked about how great a job that law enforcement did to catch this guy, and within 5 minutes, the crowd that he was talking to were yelling, "CNN sucks," which was one of the organizations that ended up receiving a pipe bomb. I mean, what the fuck?
It's and I'm not saying that Donald Trump should share. I'm not saying that Donald Trump should share a prison cell with this guy. Like, he's not culpable. He's not an accessory. But the fact that the Republican Party and Fox News is like, Donald Trump shares no responsibility for this.
They try to. Oh God, dogs.
There's a killer dog in my house.
Yeah.
They've tried to throw Bernie Sanders in this and try to say, well, the guy who shut up the Republican softball team last year, which he did do it because they were Republican,
right?
But they were trying to blame it on Bernie Sanders because he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. But there's not a single time ever that Bernie Sanders has ever threatened violence against any human being whatsoever.
Right.
That
was the false equivalency narrative that was pushed real hard. The leading guy who did that was Hugh Hewitt on MSNBC, and they basically called him everything but a moron to his face. And basically, yeah, that's what he said. It's like, people have screamed. His whole point was, Steve Scalise was shot because he was a Republican at softball by this guy that supported Bernie Sanders. And they were like, yeah, but Bernie Sanders never said anything about hurting Republicans. He's like, well, Donald Trump never has either. And they're like, are you fucking shitting me? And they just gave him 1,000 examples. Yeah, that's the false equivalency that's being pushed real hard. And the other problem is and the other thing that I caught, and this is just kind of a me thing. Like, I was at the gym like the day after all these bombs started like being collected. Like, it was like Thursday. I was at the gym, and I was sitting in the locker room, and there was a staffer there. There was a staffer there, and then there was like some old fuck. There were 2 old fucks, and they're all talking about these bombs. And the staffer was just one of the most annoying people I've ever met in my life. He was like, yeah, well, none of them went off, and they were all just sent to Democrats, and none of them went off, so it's a big hoax. The Democrats sent them anyway. And like old fuck number 1 was like, yeah, I mean, if one of them had gone off or something, I could believe it, but none of them went off, so it's totally a Democratic ploy for the midterms. And I stood up and very loudly butted into their conversation and was like, so your point is that this particular act of domestic terrorism didn't go off without a hitch, and therefore it's a fake. Like, that's your problem with it. Like, if 1 or 2 people had been blown to fucking shit, you'd be okay with this. And like old fuck number 2 like stood up and he was like, oh, that's not what they meant. I was like, it's what they fucking said. Like, I was mad. And yeah, I'm sure it came across in my tone, but like after a couple seconds, they like muttered off about how that's not what they meant, blah 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 blah.
I would assume you've seen the guy on CNN who literally said that he thought Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton most likely sent those packages to themselves.
Yeah. He sounded like he had a mouthful of marbles, by the way. Like, I know I get kind of mush mouth by the end of this podcast because I'm on my like 6th or 7th beer at this point. But that guy was like, Obama. Like,
I mean, it kind of treated me like Amazon bomb.
Yeah.
Need a bomb in 2 hours.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I there are so many times Amazon has come through with me. Jeff Bezos might be a piece of shit and he needs to pay more taxes, but that's just
he's donated a shit ton of money recently to Republican candidates.
Right. Well, he needs to donate more. To Republican candidates, did you say?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's disappointing.
Well, it's because he doesn't want to pay taxes anymore.
Well, he would have to pay a lot of taxes because he has a lot of money.
Yeah. All right, so that's a thing. That's that's still developing. The fuckstick from Florida still is gonna. He's appeared in court. He's not talking. I don't really care to say his name anymore. Oh, one of the other things, guys, I don't know if you've come across this, but I was kind of arguing with some people on the Facey Spaces and the My Books, and they kept throwing out these names that I didn't know, and I had to Google them. John, like you were talking about the guy that shot Steve Cleese. One of the names was his, and another name was a guy that had apparently sent something to Mattis, like ricin or something to Mattis. Remember that?
Yeah, that happened. I think the week before the pipe bombs started showing up.
Right. And I thought it was really telling that this guy that wanted to argue with me about whether Donald Trump had anything to do with any of this, and like how the Democrats and how the Democrats were shitty and the Republicans really had no fault, knew this guy's name. Like I don't know those guys. I had to Google both of their names because I didn't give a shit about their names. Like I also don't give about this Florida guy's name. Like they're all fucksticks, and they do this shit to get their names spoken on the airwaves. Like Lawrence O'Donnell has a long-standing history of anytime there's a shooting, anytime there's a mass casualty like this, he doesn't mention the guy's name. He never mentions it. He just say like where the guy's from and like what he's accused of at that time. Right. And I kind of respect it. I like that.
Yeah, I can see both sides of it because you're right. You're not giving them credit for really when they do something like that. That's part of what they're looking for is the recognition.
Oh yeah.
And then at the same time, it is news. It's current events. It's something you really want to have all the information of what's going on. So I can see why people report it as well. It's kind of I can go back and forth on it.
Oh yeah, I can totally see why like your Channel 4 news, your local news is going to tell you the name. I don't have to tell you the name. I don't fucking have to tell you shit. So that's how that works. So in other awesome news, we had a shooting in Pittsburgh at a Jewish synagogue. That's fucking awesome, says the only country that happens on a fucking weekly basis.
I just can't comprehend, like, how that's even, how it's still just possible. Granted, yeah, we have so many more people.
Well, I just got but it doesn't have
a
Huffington Post. I have a Huffington Post alert that Trump is still doubling down that George Soros is causing the migrant caravan to head this way. So it's really based around this whole Jewish funding of all these immigrants coming to the U.S. Through this caravan. And
yeah. And let me. I don't.
Because it has nothing to do with those people from Honduras trying to get away from one of the most.
No, it doesn't at all.
Like
desolate
I don't know if you all have ever been to San Pedro Sula. I have. That place is fucking crazy. Like I was there when I was in high school, and that place was fucking crazy. Like it's just organized crime. Those people are trying to leave to get away from that, and he makes a comment of, what was it? Our military is being mobilized at the southern border. Many more troops coming. We will not let these caravans, which are also made up of very bad thugs and gang members.
There's literally more military personnel than migrants.
Yeah.
You're sending 15,000 down there now to monitor.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
What's going to end up being 100 family by the end of it.
Right.
Yeah,
well, let's be very clear. And we haven't even gotten. Right now we're at the. I don't know if you guys are we're at the. We got about an hour and 8 minutes into it. We usually get about an hour and a half, 2 hours. We can stop whenever you guys want to. But I definitely want to talk about this.
I'm in for the long haul.
There we go. I love you.
We've not even talked about the fact that today's Halloween.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. But this whole bullshit, like you guys don't listen to. I hate to bring this up again. You guys don't listen to all the fucking right wing media I do, and like Alex Jones for one thing. Alex Jones.
I'm happier for it.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
No, don't
I'm gonna live a lot longer than Woods. That and I've got 2 kidneys.
Yeah. Hey, fuck yeah, you do. Hey, when my liver craps out, you can have the other one if you want. But Alex Jones on a daily basis will bring up the fact that George Soros is funding fucking everything that he's afraid of. Whether it's gingivitis or Democrats taking the House, George Soros is sending out checks to make it happen. I would like to point out, I've been saying liberal shit in person, online, since like fucking 2004, and I have not received one goddamn check from George Soros. I would gladly cash it. But, like, this thing about Jews are here to take over the country, they're here to push on this globalist agenda, is a thing. It's a real fucking thing that is said on real fucking shows. And
the
like
phrase
you said,
globalist, the phrase globalist is basically a white supremacist dog whistle term.
Right, for Jews. For Jews.
Yeah.
It's a Zionist term. Like, the thing at Charlottesville in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, they were chanting, Jews will not replace us. Like, this is we are not just being...
Remember when, like, one person getting run over by a car was crazy? And now, like, it's even crazier.
Well, and like Gatlin was saying, like, there's, like, he's going to send 15,000 people... 50,000 of our active duty troops... excuse me, down to the border to stop a caravan that is technically not illegal. Like, look it up.
Yeah, they're not even in the United States.
Right, yeah, well, they're 1,000 miles away. But
let's just say they're going to get here.
Right,
Santa Claus might be here
2 months
first.
from now. Yeah, they're going to get here. They're going to get here 2 months from now. And if you look the shit up, if you look, there's a treaty we signed. I think it was 1955. I'm just kind of pulling that out of my ass right now. But there's a treaty we signed in 1955 that says that anybody that is seeking asylum in the United States can cross the border illegally. Just cross wherever the fuck you can, and as long as you present yourself to law enforcement agencies, or the status quo, whoever you find a sheriff, find a cop, find the fucking mayor of the city, present yourself as a person seeking asylum, you're good to go. Like, the act of hopping the fence is not illegal if you're seeking asylum and present yourself as soon as you can. They're acting like this caravan of 7,000 people who will be met by 15,000 armed U.S. Military personnel with... Now, I heard a report today, and I don't believe it because it was on Alex Jones, but they said they're sending tanks. Now, why the fuck would you send a tank down to take on some moms and flip-flops? I will never know, but we'll see. But if they show up...
I have breaking news from Breitbart. They are saying that armed migrants have opened fire on Mexican cops. Just saying.
They probably had it coming. Have you ever seen a federale? Them motherfuckers are crazy.
Well, and that's the other thing. Like, they're saying that all, like, the last estimate I saw was there was like 7,800 people in this caravan, and a lot of them are women and children. There's like moms and flip-flops and shit. And the last time this happens yearly. That's the thing that we forget. This happens yearly. There's a yearly caravan. They travel in groups to protect themselves as they seek asylum in Mexico and the United States. A lot of them don't make it to the border in the United States. A lot of them just settle down in Mexico. But even if they do make it to the border, if they go to one of the several points of entry, that one bridge, I can't remember. John, you might remember. There's a bridge between Mexico and Texas that's like one of the main entrances where you show up and present yourself for asylum. I
feel like if
the
you
one
walk
from No Country for Old Men.
Basically, yeah.
I feel like if you walk 1,000 miles, then like you should at least like get some consideration to be a citizen, because like nobody in America walks that much anymore.
God damn, though. They're all in little jazzies at Walmart.
Yeah. I will never forget. I was at Walmart just the other day, and this woman who weighed a metric ton was in one of those little rascals, and she was standing, and she was parked in the dead center of the fucking cookie and cracker aisle. I went to get some multi-grain club crackers because they're really good, and they're good with a little bit of cheese on them. Trying to not too
cheese
many
or cheese whiz.
Cheese whiz is that's for parties. And she was parked in the middle of the goddamn cookie and cracker aisle, just like surveying the chocolate chip cookies, as if she needed, like, this was the first time this woman had ever had a chocolate chip cookie, and she needed to decide. Oh, goddamn.
When I was in college, just side note real quick, when I was in college, I worked at Kroger. One time, like, there was a woman who broke down in one of the scooters, like, in the mid aisle, and she was, like, so big, like, she was like, you need to help me. I can't get anywhere. And I'm like, oh, I can't do anything for you.
Like,
It's like, I can't carry you.
Yeah.
That's when you need to go get your bungee straps, hook them up to you, and start pulling her.
I just kind of walked away. But like, she was probably a Trump voter, so
we're making fun.
If she made it that long, she might be dead now. I don't know.
Yeah, we're making fun, but there are people that are so like obese they need help like that. But like Rachel and I watched that show, My 600-Pound Life, and it's fascinating because like one, you might be genetically dispositioned to just gain weight, but like also once you hit a certain number, like you just kept eating. Like there's no way you accidentally ate yourself 600 pounds.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. That show is a sham. Little People. Now that I can. That's a Little People, Big World, man.
One of the ones that like Rachel watched it, and then I came home from work and she's like, "We're gonna watch this episode," and I was like, "All right, cool. Let me get a drink. Let me whatever. Let me make a cocktail." She's like, "Do you want to eat dinner first?" Like, no, you're pretty pumped about the show. So I made myself a drink, sat down, and booted it up on the DVR, and it's already been watched. I was like, "Wait a minute, did you already watch this?" Like, yeah, watch it. You need to watch it. I was like, "All right, God damn it." And but she was like ready to sit beside me and watch it. And this woman was like 680 pounds, and she had been given an appointment with the doctors out, Dr. Zazio or Oz or whatever the guy's name is. Oh man, I'm gonna get shit for not remembering that. Rachel's gonna listen to this and bust my ass, but whatever. She had an appointment, and the EMT showed up, and they had to reinforce the ramp from her. She had a ramp from her front door to the driveway. They were really sure that it would not support her, so they reinforced it. So you got EMTs out there with fucking, saws and wood, like reinforcing ramp. And then while this woman is waiting for these 12 guys to carry her out of the house, she gets pissed off and wants a bowl of Fruit Loops. Like, I didn't believe Rachel. She's like, watch this. And she's like, and so this woman just screams at like her daughters, like, I need some Fruit Loops. I'm hungry. And I was like, you have got to be shitting me.
Hey, at least they're gluten-free now.
Oh, fuck off, Gatlin. I bet you they're better with the gluten.
Silver lining somewhere.
Yeah, silver lining. All right. So
I haven't watched TLC since like John and Kate +8. I'm just saying.
I'll watch that shit too.
Damn, bro.
The one thing we got way off topic here. The one thing I was wanting. Yeah. Oh, it's. We run a real tight ship here at the Woodscast. The
Obviously.
one thing the one thing.
Be so pissed right now.
What's that?
Said your sponsors would be so pissed right now.
Yeah, as soon as we get one, I'll apologize to them. I actually had a buddy email. Like we always say that. There we go.
We should have just sat together and drank.
Yeah.
Right.
One of my buddies sent me a message. He's like, I kept mentioning sponsors, just like jokingly. He's like, "Do you guys have sponsors?" Like, fuck no, we don't have sponsors. But whatever. So one of the things about the synagogue attack that I thought was really, I guess, telling, and we were talking about how Donald Trump doesn't have the wherewithal to be president. He doesn't have, I guess, the temperament to be president. And one of the things about the synagogue attack was that not only did some fuckstick, and I have his name right here on my little outline. I'm not going to say it because fuck him. He killed 11 people. One of them was a Holocaust survivor. Wounded several more. And they're gonna seek the death penalty, and I'm fine with that. Fuck him. He did it. Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. And the city of Pittsburgh asked Donald Trump to delay his visit, and they did it for no political reason. They did it for security reasons because. And this is what really caught me. Like, I was at the gym listening to this newscast, and it blindsided me because I guess I'm not a soulless sack of shit. But the city of Pittsburgh asked Donald Trump to delay his visit because they didn't think that they could protect him. Because whenever the president comes to, any place, he draws a considerable amount of police resources. It's not all Secret Service. Like the local police has to block off roads, like you were saying, Gatlin, when it came to Lexington. Like they had to block off roads. They gotta protect the caravan. They gotta the local police is on the hook for that. And the mayor of Pittsburgh was concerned that they could not adequately protect the president and adequately protect the funerals. And that fucking struck home for me. I didn't think about that. Mainly because I'm not a complete sack of shit that would attack a Jewish funeral after the largest attack on a Jewish community in our nation's history. But, like, they thought about that. And, of course, they would think about that because they just had 11 people killed in their synagogue. So the mayor of Pittsburgh asked Donald Trump to delay his visit until they could finish burying the dead so that they would not have to divide their security resources. And Donald Trump didn't give a shit. Donald Trump went to Pittsburgh anyway. Donald Trump invited the Speaker of the House, the Majority Whip. He invited the local, the senators and congressmen in Pennsylvania to travel with him. They all declined. The mayor and governor, they didn't meet with him. No political figure in Pittsburgh or associated with Pennsylvania traveled with or met Donald Trump in Pittsburgh, which is unheard of. That's unheard of.
Usually a mayor of a city will show up on like the tarmac and greet the president, like regardless of what their political affiliation was, and that obviously didn't happen here.
No, and even the local senators and congressmen would travel on Air Force One with Donald Trump. Like they all declined that. They all said no, and Donald Trump said, "I can't." I'm paraphrasing because I wasn't there, but he said, "Fuck it," and he went anyway. Air Force One was on the ground in Pittsburgh for 3 hours. Donald Trump spent 13 minutes in the Tree of Life synagogue. He asked to meet with one of the grieving families, and they declined him. He asked nobody wanted to meet with Donald Trump. Like this is the petty shit that really gets me upset. Is that he made this trip for him, not for anybody else. He made it for him, and it was even even in the sense of him. Like, who did he win over doing this? I guess that's my question.
Well, you got to remember, like, as soon as like it came out that the shooting had happened, the first thing he said was like the most tone deaf thing ever, in saying, well, if they just had armed guards in the synagogue, this wouldn't have happened. And regardless of whether or not you're for the Second Amendment, and you can even make some arguments that there should be armed guards in certain areas, but when you get to the point that like you're talking about a synagogue, a Jewish synagogue having an armed guard, and to prevent things like these, it's tone deaf, it's ridiculous. He pretty much just said that is my political battle cry, and didn't really think anything else about what he's actually responding about. It's obvious to me he doesn't give a shit what actually happened. It's just going through the motions.
He definitely doesn't. I'm having a hard time thinking of what baseball player it was that tweeted right afterwards, because Trump ended up tweeting something about a baseball player getting pulled out of the World Series game. And then that baseball player instantly tweeted after the game. It was like, basically saying, why would you tweet something like that? When
I think it was Rich Hill. Was it Rich Hill, maybe?
It was, yeah, it was.
Okay.
But it's very obvious that he just, it's only his agenda the entire time.
It is his agenda the entire time, and it's kind of annoying that people try to defend him for it, but for fuck's sake, that's like the easiest thing to do as president, is to just go there or listen to him. Like, he would have come off so caring and thoughtful if he would have said in one of the many interviews he's going to do in the next fucking 6 days or the last 3 days, because he's all over the place just doing interviews and doing rallies, because this is what he loves to do. Like the midterms is just, oh god, it's just one big ego stroke for him. But in any one of these interviews he could have been like, I heard from the mayor and he has asked me to delay my visit until they can properly bury their dead, and I respect that, and we'll postpone until blah blah blah. And he would have been fucking presidential as shit for the first time in his whole presidency.
Well,
what's the fun in that though?
Yeah, he would say that, and then like 15 minutes later, he would go on some other kind of rant that would totally disregard anything he just said.
Right.
So, whatever.
All right. I've pretty much covered. Okay. Actually, this kind of dovetails. Jesus Christ, Gal.
Jesus, that's getting real.
Yeah. For those, we don't record video. I guess we could, but Gatlin just poured what looks like 10 ounces of fucking Kentucky Gentleman into a glass, and
water on top of it.
Yeah, he's watered it down for everybody who cares.
Slightly.
It's 12 ounces glass now.
That's fine. Gatlin is drinking out of one of those glass, the glass glasses. Thank you, glass cups, whatever you want to call it. That's shaped like a beer can.
Yeah.
Can glasses, is that what they're called? Can glasses?
I don't know.
They're awesome.
Something like that.
Yeah. All right. Well, all of this bullshit with the MAGA bomber, and I'm going to call him that forever now, and the Pittsburgh shooting has dovetailed right after the fact that Donald Trump has declared that he is a nationalist.
Right.
So the problem there is he forgot the 5 letters before that.
He said that
WHIT.
proudly, by the way.
Yeah.
Proudly. He said, I'm proud to be a nationalist.
Now, John, you seem pretty jazzed about this. Would you like to explain to the listeners why we don't call ourselves nationalists anymore since, let's say, the 30s, 20s and 30s, for some reasons that you could Google?
I don't know. There might be like certain, like a particular country where there were people who were quite nationalistic in their approach to things, where they didn't like certain groups of people, including the Jews, which we discussed. And I don't know.
And how did this end, by the way?
A lot of people died.
A lot of people, like 6 million people died?
Give or take.
Give or take, yeah. So, and that's the problem. Somebody has told Donald Trump that we're at the point where the Breitbarts, the Steve Bannons, the Alex Joneses are either or, I don't know how you want to fucking phrase this, are reputable enough, or they pull enough of his base that this is an okay thing to say. Like, the term nationalist has so many nativist and racial connotations to it from decades before this. Decades before, Alex Jones and Steve Bannon even became a thing that we had to, like, talk about. So many decades ago, it was such a nativist and racial, like, had so many racial overtones, and all of them basically anti-Jewish, that the fact that he stood there and said that, just, it's kind of shocking that, like, Alex Jones the next day, like, had a field day with it, because I think CNN was like, can you believe he just said that? And Alex Jones's exact response was, oh yeah, it's almost like he said we have a country. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. That's not how a citizen of the United States should define themselves in this day and age, when Steve Bannon is talking about, all the bullshit that Breitbart pushes about how, anybody who's not white is genetically inferior and dumber because of it. Like the bell curve and how, oh God. Yeah, it's just, there's so much underneath that word that Donald Trump doesn't either understand or care about that really fucking pisses me off. Or it frightens me, to be honest.
Yeah. And I don't know how much you've actually followed the news in Kentucky because it has been on the national news and it kind of fits into this whole string. But uh, do you know in Louisville that whole ordeal, the shooting at Kroger?
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, the
Okay.
guy was looking
That
for a black guy, or
Yeah, he actually tried to break into a predominantly black church, and he did get in. So he went to Kroger and killed the two black guys he could find, um, or black
because that's
people.
always
They were,
good.
yeah, but I kind of just I want to mention that just because I feel like it in the past week it kind of gets lumped into this whole I don't know killing people that are not your WASP
Well, but yeah, like you said,
group of
it's
people.
all part of lumping people together that are the other. Like
Right.
that's a lot of Donald Trump's.
And
A
that
a
one
lot of
bothers me because it's at a Kroger in Kentucky. I think it was around the St. Matthews suburb area. So that could easily happen anywhere here in Lexington. I mean, just get some jackass go to Kroger. I mean, obviously he was looking to go into a church he was targeting this church because there were black people. He didn't get in, so he went to just whatever the next place was, which is whether it was you, me, Gatlin, any of us could be at Kroger at any given time and see this shit going on.
right.
And the guy ended up. There was another a person there who pulled a gun on him and actually fired shots at him, and he told him whites don't shoot whites.
I don't think it gets much more plain than that.
Yeah, so I probably shouldn't add fuel to the fire here, but that's what we're pretty much looking at over the past week.
There, um, this whole idea of the other, and Gatlin, interrupt whenever you feel like it. I don't know if you've had enough of the gentleman yet.
No, I mean with him saying that, it was, I don't know if you all have seen, I'd say John probably has, but there was a guy that basically at the same type of issue, he was tweeting certain racial slurs. A woman in New Jersey picks up on it. She ends up, feeling that her family is being threatened. She ends up calling her local police. Her local police find out that this guy is in Anderson County, Kentucky. So she ends up calling the police there in Anderson County, Kentucky. They tell her that it's a state matter since she lives out of state. She contacts the state police of Kentucky, who then end up reading through this guy's tweets, find out, yeah, there's a definite, significant threat going on right here. They
I
go
don't
to
mean
this
to
guy's
interrupt.
house and find out that
Was he threatening her personally or just
he
her
threatened he
ethnicity?
threatened her personally, saying that her three kids, she's a white lady, had three black children, and was
Oh,
basically
okay.
saying that she and her three children should hang themselves. Well, then
Subtle,
they
very
they
subtle.
read, yeah, they read deeper into his tweets, end up going to his house. As he's pulling out, they pull up. They find in his car over 200 rounds of ammunition, Kevlar vest, a gun, a 100-round magazine, and a game plan to shoot up a Anderson County school.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. This is about a week
When the
ago.
fuck did this happen? Like a
Just
week
just
ago?
like a week ago. Yeah.
Now, I have to say, as a person who owns firearms, I'm always kind of miffed when, like, somebody's arrested for doing shit like this, like something stupid, then they just list all the firearms he owns. Like, the fact that he owned 10 firearms means that he was a crazy person and would kill, people. But if beside the 10 firearms is a plan to shoot up a school, then you're more than welcome to, throw that in the mix there. Like,
Well,
for
I
fuck's
mean,
sake.
luckily in this defense, there was one firearm.
Yeah. God damn it.
But I mean, think about Ron Swanson. Ron Swanson had about 100 guns, and he never, I don't know if y'all watch Parks and Rec.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ron Swanson had about 100 guns, and he
Oh
never
yeah.
did anything crazy. He just liked to whittle, make
Yeah.
make rocking chairs, and have a good time, eat some meat.
Like I always talk about, my buddy Jay, did the Purple Report with us. Like, we always talk about guns. Like, he's real big into guns. He shoots competitively. He trains people for safety training. Like, he's in the firearm industry and kind of, world. And we always talk about, like, what sets us off on, like, things that I don't think are a big deal with, like, firearm law. He's really upset about. Like, one of the things that's always funny is, like, when you list all the guns. Like, if I were to blow up, a school tomorrow, I guarantee you they would list all the firearms in my house. Like, they would just list them. Like, he was crazy because he had these 10, 2 shotguns and 3 rifles and but, like, that doesn't make him crazy. The fact that they're crazy and got those firearms is the problem. That's the problem. Like, you got to look at it in the right stance. Like, if I was found to be mentally unfit, then yes, you should critique how many firearms I have in my house. But other than that, they're just like, it's something to throw on the news to make everybody like, oh, look at that guy. That's fucking. I didn't hear a fucking thing about that in Kentucky. That's fucking shit. God damn.
The reason you didn't is because it didn't happen. It got stopped, which is a good thing.
What's fucking amazing.
But I mean, that's the bad thing as well, because you only hear about the bad. You never hear about the good like that.
Yeah, and that is a big problem. Yeah, I mean.
But if you're a fan of Ellen, she had him on Ellen, so there you go.
Oh yeah, I watch Ellen every now and then. I should actually. You know what I mean? A lot of the news sites now have done kind of what we're doing right now. They throw everything into a podcast. And did we lose John?
I think we did.
Where did Jonathan go?
I actually had poor connection a little while ago. Everything you all said sounded like T-Pain was talking to me.
There he is.
He looks confused.
He does look confused.
Sadly, nobody else can see that.
I
think I lost you guys there for a minute.
Yeah, we got you back. It's not a big deal. One of the things Shay and I were talking about is, like, my buddy Jay, like, he never wanted to record video for some reason. I didn't really give a shit. Shay doesn't give a shit. So I'm actually looking into, like, whenever we record this, like, instead of just throwing it up on YouTube, it's just like an image and us talking. I actually do a whole video. So
if I'm going to do that, I'm totally getting a new laptop because my laptop sucks balls.
There we go. No, that's not fine.
Your new haircut.
I'm switched to the bourbon now.
There we go.
It's gonna get real now.
Gatlin, I totally agree. Like, the reason we didn't hear that or see that is because it was stopped, and I kind of want the government, even the federal government, under Trump, under Obama, under George, W. I don't care. Like, fucking parade that shit out. When you stop a terrorist attack, parade that shit out. But I'm kind of on the other side of the fence too. Like, I kind of don't want to know about all the ones you're stopping because it'll fucking, oh god.
I feel like the reason they don't tell you is because it'll fucking terrify you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's no telling how many are stopped every single day.
Most of these people that end up doing things like this, if they actually do it, or even if, like, they were planning it and it gets stopped, there are people who generally their profile, like, from people around them, are like, oh, we never knew they could do this. They're so quiet. They're so normal, what have you. So, I feel like there's probably signals that some people could pick up on. At the same time, it's probably really difficult to get some of this stuff when a lot of these people aren't the most outgoing. And I mean, I would say in the past weeks, if you look at the things that are happening nationally that we've been talking about, they actually been posting stuff on social media.
That's the thing. They were all caught online. I mean, that's the thing. Like, majority of these people that are scared to talk to other people, like maybe in person, they're posting things online.
There's plenty of people that might not post things online and still think the same way, and those are going to be really difficult to catch. So it is kind of scary.
Well, this Tree of Life synagogue shooter, fuck him and his first and last name. He was posted on Gab right before that.
Posted a
You guys
message
heard
like
about
3
Gab?
hours before.
You guys heard about Gab? You guys know what Gab is?
I know what it is now. I had no idea about it. Like I kind of usually feel like I know stuff about like 4chan and all the different chan sites that are kind of, I don't know, batshit awful.
Gatlin, have
But
you
I
heard
didn't
anything
know
about
about
Gab?
this one.
Did you know this was a thing?
I've never heard of that actual website. I mean, I
All
saw
right.
the guy posted something like 3 hours earlier on a blog.
Right. So what Gab is Gab is the direct response to a lot of these white nationalist fucksticks getting kicked off Twitter. Gab is a Twitter counterpart. It's called Gab. You can have, I think it's 350 characters. Gab, and they call them Gabs, of course. And the icon for it is a frog's head. So it's right up there with that Pepe meme bullshit.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
their whole shtick is that they are 100% totally free speech. Like where Twitter would the only thing in their service agreement that could ban you is if you openly threaten somebody. Openly threaten. Like,
If you openly threaten Donald Trump,
right.
because he's probably in charge of it.
Well, it's funny that It's funny you say that because Alex Jones said a couple weeks ago that he's on Gab and he's waiting for Donald Trump to get on Gab. And if Donald Trump gets on Gab, oh yeah, if Donald Trump gets on Gab, it'll make it on par with Twitter.
There's obviously not enough characters.
Right? No, it's fucking hilarious. No, it's more characters. It's 350.
Is it more? You said 350.
Yeah, 350. Yeah. But no, it's literally a white supremacist Nazi version of Twitter. It's literally that. Like I was like when I heard that these fucksticks were on Gab, and I heard this 6 months ago. Gab has like been around for a while. I heard that they were all on Gab talking about how awesome it is to be white or whatever. I was gonna make I was literally gonna make a profile on Gab that was like duck fump 2020 or something, like something that clearly showed that I was not a Trump supporter, and just like go on there and fucking troll these people. And then I looked into it a little bit and I saw like how goddamn racist and how goddamn white supremacist Gab was. I was like, not at all. I don't want
If there's
even
anything,
to troll them, it's not worth it.
I was gonna say if it's anything like some of the like lower level Chan sites, like 4chan's like got nothing on like 8chan, and like there's worse than that. Like yeah. I mean you throw yourself out there, they're gonna hunt you down and make your life hell.
Well, I was fine with that, but I didn't want my name popping up in any fucking Mueller investigation 6 years from now. But that's neither here nor there.
Well, I mean, as long as you're not trying to pay somebody to
yeah, exactly.
admit to having some kind of non-existent
you're stealing my This Week in Awesome, so fuck off. All right, before we go to like some fun stuff, because we haven't talked about Halloween, I want to talk about Halloween. One last thing, serious thing, is Trump allowed, or does Trump think he's going to overturn the 14th Amendment with an executive order? And how, on a scale of 1 to 10, racist is that whole fucking argument?
I give it as far. I'd only say it's like 8 racist.
It's very white nationalist, basically. That's basically my stamp on it. It's, I don't know. Have you been following this shit, Gatlin? Hello, Gatlin.
Can you hear us?
There you go.
Alrighty.
Little lag action.
No, it's okay. I thought you were just hammered.
He's working on it.
Yeah.
I'm not even close. What's up?
No. So this whole 14th Amendment thing with Donald Trump saying he could just override it with an executive order.
I mean, there's not a chance that would ever happen.
Well,
So it's
I mean,
very unconstitutional.
He was calling out Paul Ryan this week for calling him out.
Well,
Like, Paul Ryan
Paul Ryan is a man of conviction, and he's going to make sure that this doesn't happen.
Exactly. I mean, well, who knows if that's fucking true or not? But at least the man called Trump out on it. But then Trump decides he's going to call him out and be like, "Oh, he's not following the way I want him to fucking be." I mean,
well, I wouldn't put any stock at all in what Paul Ryan says at the end of the day, because he'll cry and be the victim or some shit.
Let's be very clear. Let me read this. Excuse me.
There's no way that goes through. I mean,
here we go. 14th Amendment, Section 1, ratified in, it's like 1865 or something. It's not on the screen in front of me, but I looked it up today. All persons born or nationalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Boom. That's it. Like,
I mean, it's right there in fucking print. If you're born here,
right,
you are here.
Yeah.
I've seen there's some arguments that it's not really exactly what it means, and honestly didn't read the article, so I don't even know what the argument there is.
It's because those arguments have to do with the pure fact that this was written years and years and years and years ago. It's the same thing. It's if you believe in the Bible. I mean, there's a lot of things lost in translation.
That's a hell of a rabbit hole to go down.
Yeah. Well, I've heard one of the arguments that I've heard and haven't looked into yet, because Donald Trump said this yesterday. Like, I had a totally different This Week in Asshats and This Week in Awesome already lined up before the fucking last 12 hours, but one of the arguments that I've heard over and over again is, and I haven't looked this up. I'm not trying to be a constitutional scholar or anything, but that the direct meaning of the 14th Amendment was to ensure that freed slaves and slaves in the United States at that time, and we're talking like the 1800s, after the Civil War and all that bullshit. I'm sorry, after the Civil War, were guaranteed citizenship. And that was the argument that has been thrown at me, and my response is, okay, and that seems totally fucking okay. Like how is that a problem? And they're like, well, we don't have slaves anymore. It's like, okay, and there's
no absolute. I mean, there's no difference.
Yeah,
those children didn't choose to come here to be born, but they are citizens.
Right.
Well. Go ahead, John.
The whole immigration thing, regardless of if, and how, and what have you, it's ridiculous to me, because when you want to get down to the economics, which you would think that Trump would want to talk about the economics of the matter, immigration in pretty much any form is good for our economy. And if it's good for the economy, it's good for America.
And what's good for America is good for Trump.
And it should be.
It should be.
You would think.
Yeah. It's just that whole shit is just so, I don't know. It's so out of nowhere. I know it's for the midterms. I know he's just trying to gin up his base, but it's I don't know. It's pretty fucking dumb in my point.
I gave up on all those conversations after he got elected.
That's true.
I mean, the fact with these midterms, those issues shouldn't even matter.
No.
It's state to state. The fact that you're talking about this shit in Kentucky as an issue, I mean, how many more miles do they have to travel once they get to Texas?
All right, yeah.
Another 1,000 at least.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll be tired of shit.
I've only been to Texas once in my life, and oh my God,
the heat was so bad that you only move about 2 miles the entire day in Texas.
It's so fucking big that you get into Texas, you could travel all day and go to bed at night, and you're still in fucking Texas.
Well, I read somewhere, and I haven't.
That's with a car.
Yeah, and I haven't. Yeah, exactly. I haven't Google mapped this, but I was told that there are because Texas is so big that if it's a farther drive from the east end of Texas to the west end of Texas than it is from the west end of Texas to California. And that's like 3 states away.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I could Google map that, but I haven't yet. So, all right, we talked about a lot of stuff. We need to talk about the fun half and then get into... We need to talk about Halloween. I want to talk about Halloween because it's like my favorite holiday and it's my favorite, month. October's my favorite month of the year. And then we need to get into asshats and awesome. But I think we need to take a break, so we're gonna hit a little pause here while we pause for the cause. Alrighty. So we've paused the cause here. We've all gone and taken a leak and got some more booze. So let's talk about the fun stuff. I want to state right out flatly, talking about politics with you guys, also fun. But let's talk about Halloween because October is like my favorite month of the whole year. It's Halloween.
Sure.
We're doing this right now on Wednesday the 31st. It's fucking the best. In my opinion, the best night of the year. We could skip over Thanksgiving and Christmas entirely, in my opinion, and go straight to New Year's. But, okay, I got a question for you guys to start off this. Have you guys seen the new Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis and the original Michael Myers?
I have not seen it, and I was telling Katie the other day, I've not seen the movie, but the whole concept of the movie pisses me off. The reason it pisses me off is because it disregards the other fucking 4 or 5 Halloweens that happened in between that and this.
Ooh. See, I kind of liked it because of that, because in the first Halloween with John Carpenter, and I'll have to Google this, but he didn't direct the second one. I'm almost positive he didn't direct the second one. The previous directors have made the fact that Laurie was his blood relation, a sister, like a point throughout all the Halloween movies, and this movie kind of makes fun of that. They're like, yeah, she wasn't his sister. He's just insane and fixates on her. It's actually kind of really, excuse me, it's really cool in the movie how they just skip over that to make this movie. It doesn't really disrespect the other movies. It just says, hey, in this time frame, we ain't doing it.
Well, but Halloween 2, I think Halloween 1 came out in, 78?
Uh-huh.
I think that's right. So, because it's the 30-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Halloween 2 was 1981, and that was a John Carpenter film.
Oh, really? He was the same director?
But he wrote it.
Oh, okay.
He didn't direct it.
Rick
Rosenthal directed the second Halloween, which also had Jamie Lee Curtis in it.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I got nothing then, man. I got nothing. I will say this movie is exceedingly fun. It's exceedingly good. It's really well done. Jamie Lee Curtis is good. The fact that they kind of ignore the other 5 or 6 movies that came since then is actually pretty good because it puts Jamie Lee Curtis, spoiler alerts everybody, sorry, it's been like 2 weeks since it came out, but it puts Jamie Lee Curtis in kind of a PTSD situation, always waiting for Michael Myers to come back. And when he does, like, she's prepared. Nobody else is prepared except her. She's like, I'm gonna fuck his shit way up, and it's really good.
No, I'm 100% on board with that. I just think about, I'm sure you watched them, like H2O.
Yeah.
When she's the dean of a private school, high school, and hiding in plain sight with a different name.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want Michael to find out where she is because she knows Michael's coming.
Yeah. No.
But then he fucking finds her, and then Halloween Resurrection, which was a fucking abomination.
Well, let's just be very clear. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Halloween. Child's Play. Am I missing a slasher guy here, guys?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Can you hear?
What's that? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got summoned for a bottle, so I had to run.
Hey man, that happens.
And my earpods quit working, so apparently my microphone works if I don't have like earphones or anything in.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, sorry.
So much for those $50 Kickstarters.
I think it's more of a computer problem. But anyway, like I haven't seen the new Halloween, so I don't know what you said, but sorry.
No, it's okay. Like what I was saying is that the originals are the originals and they're classics for a reason. The sequels are their sequels, and I think in whatever genre you want to pick, the more sequels you get into it.
Friday the 13th. I was more of a Friday the 13th fan.
Yeah, me too. Like as you go further in the Friday the 13th sequels, they get really, really shitty. Like Jason Takes Manhattan is the most fucking.
The shittier, the better, really.
Yeah. Well, and I like that. Like, and
Motherfucker was walking around wearing a leather jacket. He looked like the goddamn Terminator.
I mean, and it was oh god, can okay, we can't talk about shitty sequels and not discuss Freddy versus Jason and or Jason X, which was Jason in space. Which,
Bite your tongue. Freddy versus Jason was awesome.
I loved it. My brother and I had a bet going into it. I said that Jason would win. He said Freddy would win. And then he walked out with Freddy's head in his hand. And then Freddy winked at the end. And my brother turned to me and says, see, I told you.
They both won.
Oh, fuck you, Gatlin. Jason won. Who was holding whose head? But
Freddy winked.
Well, I get it. No. And I'll tell you right now, Shay, and that's why I was so hoping Shay would be available for this podcast, because I wanted to talk about Venom and all this Halloween stuff that I love so much, and he's into horror too, like you guys are. But like, I wanted to have that argument. Basically, we've still been arguing. I mean, when did that movie come out? Like fucking 2000 2000 maybe. We've been having that argument for at least 10 years.
What, Freddy versus Jason?
Yeah.
Probably like 03, 04 or something like that.
Yeah, it's easily been 10 years. But like, yeah, as the sequels go into it, they get shittier. Halloween.
Well, they're just running out of ideas.
Well, yeah, right. One of the things, like, I just wanted to recommend that movie. It was a great take on Halloween. Have either of you seen Rob Zombie's remakes of Halloween?
Oh my God, I watched part of the Rob Zombie Halloween remake last night, and I watched it when it first came out. I mean, it's an amazing movie.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it. John, have you seen it? You're grinning like we're idiots.
Well, I would probably love to. It's just one of those things that you kind of grow up, and Katie absolutely hates anything at all that might be slightly scary, so it doesn't really, things like that don't get watched in our house very often anymore.
See, I've been pumped for this day all year, like I am every year.
Having this conversation makes me want to go back and watch these things, because like there was a part of my life where like I remember going, like there was a friend I had growing up, like elementary school, middle school, up into high school, and like really the thing that I remember the most about them was like watching the horror movies, and I don't really do that very much anymore. I mean, I remember, I've gone and seen some horror movies. It's probably been like 10 years now. I don't even see hardly any movies at all in theaters. So, when I watch movies, it's very rarely the horror movies, even though I do enjoy them. So, part of me is just hearing you talk about them is like,
do yourself a favor, watch the Rob Zombie Halloween. Yeah. You got Malcolm McDowell as the Dr. Loomis.
Yeah. It's really, like
Clockwork Orange, bro.
Yeah. I mean, and also, if you've never seen Clockwork Orange with Malcolm McDowell, that's actually a really fucking hard DVD to find. And it's even a harder thing to, quote-unquote, find on the interwebs. That's a pretty rare thing to like just download. It's amazing. I the Rob Zombie Gatlin to kind of back you up there. Like I was like when somebody said like Rob Zombie's gonna make a remake of Halloween. Like I knew Rob Zombie had directed several movies.
House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, thank you.
Dude, those movies are phenomenal.
They're gory.
They're cult
fun.
classics.
They're
but they're
edgy.
fucking amazing.
Yeah, and I was always like John said, like Halloween was something from my like childhood. It was like fucking. I was the butter zone of that because, Halloween was like 78. So when that shit hit syndication, I was like 7 or 8. TNT or whatever the fuck networks were on at the time. I can't remember. I'm probably making that up. We'll just throw that shit on in Halloween. I'd be like, I was glued to the screen. And Rob Zombie just fucking hit it out of the park. There's a whole thing in the Rob Zombie movie about how Michael Myers isn't just fixated with that one mask. Like he makes hundreds of masks.
That's all he did at the beginning.
Yeah.
When he was in the Institute, he was just making paper mache masks.
It's like, fuck, that's awesome. Like that's such a great thing. And,
like he was always trying to hide his personality.
Yeah, it's so great. And
he never could do it. So he was like, that's what it was. He had a nurse that was trying to get him to get away from that dark presence that he had. So she wanted him to make paper mache mask to find good in himself.
Mm-hmm.
And all he could do is find evil every time.
And like on top of that, like one of the things that always made me like happy, like always kind of made me gravitate towards Michael Myers as like one of my favorite, quote unquote slashers, is that has never been a supernatural explanation for why Michael Myers is Michael Myers. If you follow the Jason Voorhees mythos down like at least 2 or 3 films, it turns out that he's just a corpse. He's reanimated. Little spoiler alert for everybody. Sam Raimi has said that Jason Voorhees is a deadite. So there you go. Like Jason Voorhees is reanimated.
What was it? Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's like a
like
demon
at the
inside
very
him
beginning of that movie, they blow the son of a bitch up, and
That's
then he
a great
comes
one.
back.
Yeah, they had a tax squad. They put this really like, stacked nubile college student in a cabin, and she runs out, and like as she's running out of the cabin, she's doing like flips and somersaults over cars and shit. Like she looks like a goddamn like Secret Service agent.
And
then
it was 10 fucking minutes into the movie.
Oh yeah, like yeah, if
they
that,
blow him up, and then next thing you know, he's back.
Yeah. Of course, Freddy Krueger, came back from the dead to hunt children in their dreams and nightmares. Totally supernatural. Chucky was a cult leader.
He was a gangster.
Yeah, a cult leader and a gangster that used voodoo to put his soul into a doll. Like all the other slashers of that genre were some kind of supernatural anomaly. But Michael Myers was just a person who was dead inside. Like that's what Dr. Loomis always said. It's like if you looked in there's just a void.
He was a child that had no love.
There was something inside that Michael Myers that just went to a dead
John
void.
Just laughing.
Like John,
John's trying to comprehend this conversation. He's like,
it's one of those things where like I've seen how like the original Halloween. I haven't like expanded my horizons that much.
no, but even in the original Halloween,
since I've even thought about in these terms to like do a book review of any of them.
oh, yeah.
you need the Cliff Notes, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
We're breaking them down for you.
I'm totally down. I'm much more down when like he's talking about the Jason Voorhees like breakdown of what's going on because that was more of my jam.
Yeah. Oh no, that's my jam too. Like one of my favorites. I believe it was number 6. It was Friday the 13th in New Blood, where apparently the girl was like telekinetic, and like she would just kept fucking Jason up with her, you know, telekinetic powers, and eventually pulled her dad out of the lake to beat Jason. Like that one was the best. Like that one was so fucking ridiculous. It was, but I was 10. I didn't give a shit. It was awesome.
Oh, every time where like there'd be somebody out on like the lake, and like at the very end when you knew,
you know they're fucked.
You knew exactly what was gonna happen, but then like it's like whoosh. Like, that was the best part.
Yeah, it was so good.
What was it like?
Yeah, one more time. Oh, we got him to do it. That's why we do this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, because we've had enough alcohol to get gentlemen to do that twice. All right, so...
I thought about it.
One more time. One more time.
Do it.
One more time.
Do it.
He's going to be a bitch.
One more time.
One
Come
more
on.
No. You did twice.
Yeah, he did it twice. Now, the other thing, have you guys, like, first of all, like, the whole thing about October that I love is AMC's Fear Fest.
Gatlin's over there chugging bourbon, by the way.
Oh, he is, yeah. Yeah. Gatlin has a 12-ounce glass of bourbon with some ice in it as we are doing this podcast.
Like 2 cubes.
Yeah.
I've actually got to feel it now.
Yeah. So have you got, like, one of the reasons I wanted to bring up Halloween and how happy I am that it's Halloween is that we have had AMC's Fear Fest since, I think, October 14th until today. And all they do is just play the, all these slasher movies in a big fucking loop. Like, there'll be a Friday 13th day, there'll be a Nightmare on Elm Street day, there'll be a Halloween day, like, there'll be a Chucky day, or, I'm sorry, Child's Play day. Like, these are all in... that sound you're hearing is Gatlin putting ice into a glass and then pouring bourbon on it. Because I've had some...
absolutely, like, pouring the bourbon.
I've had some emails before.
He stopped that time. He felt like he's being judged.
Yeah. Muzzle's off. I've had some emails before. They're like, "What's that noise?" I'm like, "It's probably Shay putting ice in a drink." But yeah, AMC's Fear Fest is like the best part of my year because it just like throws all these things out that John, like, maybe you haven't seen or not. Like, I will sit down and just like DVR so much bullshit. It's stupid. And Rachel's like, "Why do we have 80% of our DVR filled with slasher films that you've already seen?"
I feel like they really fucked up this year, though. Like, they didn't nearly put Bruce Campbell in there as much as they should. Good
call. What Gatlin's talking about is the Evil Dead series, which right now I have to ask Gatlin, have you watched or seen or downloaded, or would you like me to mail you?
Sadly, I don't have stars. If I can get your passcode for your stars, that'd be perfect.
It is the shit. What we're talking about is the latest series of the Evil Dead series, which is Ash versus the Evil Dead, which is a Stars series. Ran for 3 seasons, and it was awesome. They closed it out well. It was gory as all fucking balls. Like, the whole series was started because Ash, you know, back in the day. Well, when was the Evil Dead released? Like 90 something. It's been a while.
Evil Dead was probably like 93. Army of Darkness was probably like 95 or 6.
Okay, yeah. Army of Darkness was the fun one. Like, they went from, like, they had a low budget horror film. If you've never seen The Evil Dead, then you shouldn't be allowed to vote, in my opinion. They had a low budget.
Fucking great.
Yeah. They had this really low budget. Sam Raimi was the director. Bruce Campbell was the starring role. They just threw some, like, really crazy special effects and makeup on some people, and they had this really dark horror movie they threw out there. It's a cult classic. Evil Dead 2, still good, still fun. That's when Ash cuts off his own hand and puts his chainsaw in its place because it's corrupted. Super fun. Then you get to Army of Darkness, which is like it's basically the Big Lebowski of horror films. Like it's like such a half comedy, half horror
You
film.
have to really fucking like what you're going into.
Yeah, it's like I remember back in the day, one of my friends wanted to show me Shaun of the Dead, and I thought they said Dawn of the Dead, and I was like, yeah, I'm game. Like I love horror movies. And
Dude,
then,
if
like,
you say you don't like Shaun of the Dead,
Shaun of the Dead.
No,
I'm gonna through this
Not a
computer.
horror movie.
and
no,
smack this shit
no,
out.
guys, back. Hey, everybody, unclench. I didn't understand what the movie was. I was ready for a like zombie like apocalypse movie. They started Shaun of the Dead. I loved every minute of it, but I was just kind of like taken back. I was like, wait a minute, I thought you said this was Dawn of the Dead. I was like, no, Shaun of the Dead. It's like, oh, I've been wanting to see that, and then it's been one of my favorite movies. It's one of Rachel's favorite movies too because she's seen it too. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Dale said to Roy, the Star series is fucking hilarious. It starts out with Ash getting drunk and trying to read poetry to some girl he brought home. And he smokes a bunch of weed and he reads out of the Necronomicon just by accident.
God damn it.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah, and starts the whole fucking thing over again. Like,
Austin still got that motherfucker.
I don't know. But, like, that is how ridiculous and fun that series is. And, I'm sad it was canceled at 3. It's got 3 seasons. I mean, fucking Gatlin, I will mail you DVDs of them. I got them all downloaded. It's not a big deal. But yeah, you gotta watch it.
Please do.
Yeah.
If you're gonna make DVDs, send them to me too. Then I haven't watched it.
Deal.
You don't even know what the fuck he's talking about, John.
No, it's
I
deal.
love zombies, so whatever.
Have you seen Evil Dead?
I think I've seen part of it.
All right, I got a lot.
Have you
of
seen
DVDs.
Army of Darkness?
No.
I've got a lot of DVDs to burn and send out. Then that's what's happening.
Good for me. Get more.
All right, so
Real quick,
before we wrap
Netflix,
up,
right?
what's
What's
that?
that?
Do you all both have Netflix?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I was wanting to get into. Haunting of Hill House.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it because I don't.
Holy fucking shit.
Okay, so Gatlin, before Rachel wants to watch that, and she gets back. Excuse me again. Damn. That's what happens when you pound 9
The
beers.
thing is, none of you all can see Justin's face right now. He has gone for the mic 3 times now and got the hiccups.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when you pound 9 beers. I have promised Rachel I will not watch that without her because it is apparently as good as you say. That's my thing.
Here's the thing. Have you seen The Haunting?
Yes.
Was
Great
that
movie.
that terrible fucking movie? No.
Oh, it was fun.
With Liam Neeson?
Oh, yeah, that one was bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that movie was fucking terrible. Had Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and I think Owen Wilson.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of another haunting movie. You are correct. That was not good.
That's basically both that movie and this show, this Netflix show, were based on the same book.
Mm-hmm.
The book is based more on the fucking terrible Liam Neeson movie. But the show, they get away from all of that. And they get more into the actual house that they're in.
Wait, did you say that the book is based off the Liam Neeson?
No, you know what he meant.
The other way around.
Other way around. Sorry.
Okay, I was like, that doesn't sound like how it usually goes. Okay, I got you. Sorry.
I'm glad you corrected me.
For once, I make contribution to this conversation.
I mean, you killed the last podcast, but we're not going to bring that up.
I know. I'm all in. I'm trying to see what we can do in the next one.
But anyways, no, I mean, there was a book written about Haunting of Hill House,
Right.
whatever. But the fucking show that Netflix did, it is 100% just action the entire time.
I've read that it's like one of the scarier like things that's been put out in a long time.
It is. I mean, you will be intrigued the entire time you watch it. The funny thing is, Katie and I watched the first 3 episodes on a Sunday night. I had fucking nightmares. Woke up in the middle of the goddamn night. On Monday, I said, we got to finish this goddamn show. No.
Yeah.
Instead, we only finish every episode but 2. So, once again, I have fucking nightmares on a Monday night. Sitting there going into work, fucking scratching my fucking arm. Like, what am I doing?
All creeped out.
All creeped out. Finally, go in that last night, watch the show. End up being like best show I've ever seen.
That's good. Like I've heard a lot of good stuff.
I'm still fucking haunted by that shit. But at least I don't have fucking nightmares now.
That's good. All right. I will watch the Hounding on I'm sorry. What is it again? It's not the Haunting. What's that?
Haunting of Hill House.
That's what I thought. I was gonna say the Haunting of Hot House, but that's not right. No, that's definitely not our cue. I just promised Rachel I would wait till she got back, and this is the last time she's making the drive. By the way, like she's got a job here.
Right. She got a new job. Pumped about that.
Yeah. So we will definitely watch that. The last thing.
You're probably gonna get divorced soon, then, right?
That's what she said, and I've already told her if we get divorced, I'm taking the goddamn kidney back. So that's her.
Good point.
That's her business. But
I don't think I honestly don't know if you can get that kidney back.
I'll get it back.
He'll get the equivalent back.
Will it fit?
Yeah, I know people. But the last thing I want to talk about before we get into Asshat and Awesome of the Week, because we've been going about 2.5 hours now, or 2 hours and 15 minutes, is as we talk about horror and Halloween, I would like to recommend you both watch or DVR or however you want to get it. I'll send you my logins. Is Eli Roth has done a fantastic series on AMC.
Dude, fucking awesome.
Have you been watching this? The Masters of Horror?
Well, the first episode came on after the first episode of Walking Dead.
Right. So basically, I'm trying to Google Eli Roth because I forgot what movie he directed that was really good.
The Bear Jew.
What's that?
Eli Roth is the Bear Jew.
Oh, okay. No, Gatlin is exactly right. Eli Roth played the Bear Jew in Inglourious Basterds, which is
Bastards.
Yeah, which was a fantastic movie. But I'm trying to figure out what his okay.
He was also the producer, director, writer of Hostile and Hostile 2.
That's right. And then he also that's where his horror contact is. Thank you. I googled it too.
I didn't have to Google that shit because I love
didn't know that. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say we see where Gatlin's strength comes in. It's like all this shit. Like I really tried to plan on having some statistics here, what 538 said on some politics, but Gatlin just blows it away when it comes to like who did shit on what kind of movie.
Well, I mean, fuck, I Googled the same 538 stuff, but you beat me to the punch.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys looking up.
And I'm also better when I get drunk. I'm like Barry Badger.
If there's one thing I know what Justin does, is he promotes other podcasts. So.
Well, yeah, like I'm all about promoting other podcasts.
He fucking promotes Alex Jones.
I can't.
Justin's not perfect.
Yeah. Nobody has ever said that, ever.
Just so somebody can listen to it so he can make fun of it.
That is also half the point. But
I love it.
Eli Ross. I still don't have the name of this show right. It's Eli Ross Masters of Horror. How am I fucking this up? Am I getting that? Is it Masters?
I think it is Masters of Horror, because
I'm sorry, History of Horror. History of Horror.
History of Horror. First episode he did was about zombies, and he did it about Romero.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if you're listening to this and you have any interest whatsoever in the horror genre, watch this show. Watch all of this show. It's amazing. They started out with zombies. They did 2 episodes of slashers because they walked through how horror became a little bit gruesome, but then the gruesomeness became a part of telling the story, and then that usually the story was the fact that there is a heroine that is the victim but ends up being the victor at the end. Like it is such a great show on AMC. It's funny that it comes after The Walking Dead. It should come before The Walking Dead and boost some of their ratings now, because it is blowing it out of the water. That's such a great show. And they have everybody who's been a director or actor in the show. It's not just Eli Roth like fucking spouting off about horror movies. Like, it's Eli Roth interviewing Rob Zombie, Wes Craven, Robert London is Freddy Krueger. That's the actor's name. They interview all the different actors who have played Jason, all the different England. Thank you, Robert Englund. All the different actors who had played Jason Voorhees. All the actors and directors and producers from these iconic movies like Friday the 13th, Child's Play. All of them, Saw. Like, he just sits them down at a table and they just discuss how this genre that like I've always connected with, like since I was a kid. It came from that. Thing.
Like, I feel like that he has always connected with this. The Bear Jew.
Yeah. Oh, I saw the fact that we're talking about the Bear Jew on the same episode we're talking about the Jewish synagogue shooting and how Donald Trump doesn't really give a shit about people in general. I saw Inglourious Basterds in the theater thinking, now this is my own little like pocket story here, thinking that movie was going to be kind of like a niche movie for people. Like, there'd be like 10% of the people that are going to go out that Saturday at 1 p.m. and watch Inglourious Basterds. Like, I didn't think that was going to be like a Infinity War blockbuster. I walked in at 1 p.m. on a Saturday.
I had to find a fucking seat.
I sat, it was fucking packed. I was beside myself how packed that theater was. I sat in this one seat, and I had 3 13-year-olds on one side, 2 13-year-olds on my other side. I don't know why the seat was between me. They all should have scooted down. But,
you were still drinking your rum and Coke, though, right?
Well, no, I hadn't poured it yet. So there were 3 13-year-olds. There were 3 13-year-olds on my left side. There were 2 13-year-olds or so on my right side, and then the next seat over was the dad in charge of all these kids. Now that's where this is what puzzled me. I don't know why they didn't shift over. I don't know. Maybe somebody got up. Whatever. But I was in that seat. The lights go down. The movie gets dark. We're going on trailers. I pull out a flask and pour, my 8 ounces of rum into my big cup, and it was all dark except like there was some commercial that flashed a white screen and just lit my shit up, and I'm standing there with a silver flask pouring it into a big cup, and I'm not like waving around. It's like it's close to my body, but it fucking made a big shiny target, and the kids on either side of me didn't fucking notice at all. The dad noticed. He leaned over, looked at me, and gave me a good solid nod, and then just went back and watched the movie. And I was like, this guy gets it.
So what you're saying is you poured a little bit into his drink.
I would have if there wasn't 2 kids between us.
Ah, even if there was. It's Inglourious Basterds, man.
Yeah, he brought some like preteens to Inglourious Basterds, and it was a good time. All right, gentlemen, we have run We have run long. Like, this is the funny thing, guys, and I'm not trying to, like, bust on you guys or me or anything. Like, when we started doing a podcast, I always thought that we should end at an hour. Like, it was like 60 minutes, you stop.
Right.
But like, I'm sorry.
Well, I see the 5:30. Like, I've been like listening to the 5:38, especially the last week, just because I know like what they have to say is like very, very interesting for the next week going on.
Right.
And, like they don't really even do very long. I mean, but they do like every other day or so. It's pretty frequent.
Right.
Right. But yeah, like I know that there's others. Like I've never listened to what's his name?
You need to watch Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan goes for like 3 hours.
I haven't watched him, but I heard that he goes like forever, right?
Forever.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker has some of the best points to make you'll ever hear.
You know, if you're going good and you don't have a stopping point, just keep going.
Well, and that's kind of like our feeling. Like Shay and I talked about this, like kind of off, quote unquote off air. Like anybody gives a shit what we say on air. I don't know what Gatlin's drawing on on the screen.
I'm drawing a fucking smiley face on your face.
But like, yeah, we're like Shay and I were talking about this. Like a lot of the podcasts that like we listen to, like last podcast on the left, and a lot of the more established podcasts that, like Joe Rogan, that have these, like they all start out doing like these really scripted times, like it's 55 minutes, 60 minutes, and then as this kind of medium has become more of a thing, like everybody's just like, fuck it, because like you could pause whenever you want. Like I don't know, like I guess it's my OCD hang up that we should go an hour and a half, then stop, and then like it doesn't matter. Like John, like what John was saying, like if we're having a good time, everybody's got booze, nobody has to pee, we're good to go. That's how I see it.
I'm delaying the fact that I have to go upstairs because it's not gonna.
I'm happy to help you out there.
Well, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, I clicked mute one time to go piss.
Oh yeah,
everybody knows that. I mean,
no, we're good to go. All right, so the last thing we need to discuss, gentlemen, is the thing we always end out this podcast with, is This Week in Awesome and This Week in Assets. We always do assets first because we want to end on a positive note. So, what is everybody's This Week in Assets for this week? Gatlin, you want to go?
First.
First.
No, I'm not. I did this before. Gatlin, you're...
Meaning he fucked it up once before.
I don't think he fucked it up.
I didn't, at least I didn't like say like it's assets and like, I don't know.
No, my ass hat for the week is Alyssa Shepherd.
Really?
Do you all know who Alyssa Shepherd is?
I have no clue. School me.
Alyssa Shepherd is the girl in Indiana that decided she was too fucking good to stop for a school bus.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, she was the children's director for a church. So she was on her way to work as a children's director for a church and ran a school bus stop sign.
Yeah. Yeah. So for those of you who haven't seen this, you have to have seen this in the media. In Indiana, a woman went around a school bus stop sign and hit four children.
Killed 3.
Yeah, killed 3 outright. One, the older child, I believe, was 10, has several broken bones, will recover. The 3 children that died at impact were 2 twin boys and their older sister. So she went around a stop sign and just fucking mowed down a family's kids.
I'm sorry to make that like my ass hat.
Now that's a good ass hat because
actually much better than I have. I don't even know what mine is yet.
But to go in with that, I'm not really sure how the nation goes about this. But like for Indiana, the state, if you pass a stopped school bus, it's a misdemeanor.
Right.
Really?
Like, I think in Kentucky, it's the same way.
There's been some
On two-way streets. Now, on a four-way, it's a felony.
but it's actually more likely on the four-way, actually.
Yeah.
Well, in places
All the time.
in places like this, though, where it happened, it's more likely on a two-way.
Yeah. But I see it in Lexington. It happens quite often, I think.
Oh, it happens all the time where we live. But, like, in Indiana, where this happened, that's a misdemeanor? Asshat number 1, Indiana.
Yeah.
Right there should be a fucking felony.
Well, I'm sure shit. Well, I'm not a prosecuting attorney, but I think they're the fucking book at her.
No, they should make that a fucking felony.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is like, who the fuck does that? Like, I when we came back to Illinois after homecoming last week, like the off ramp from, this is a very fucking specific example, but the off ramp from the 80 West to get to our house, there's like has a super sharp turn. Like you get off, you go like 40 feet, and then it has a super sharp turn where if you're going like, I would say 40 miles an hour, you're gonna have trouble like making that turn. Like it's real sharp. It's really fucking a bad like design. But like Rachel was in front of me driving back, like we were following each other, and the car in front of her stopped for a school bus with their sign out, and Rachel stopped behind her, and then I stopped behind Rachel, and I'm sitting in this blind fucking curve where if you're going more than 45 miles an hour, you're not going to make the curve. I'm like, so in how many seconds am I just going to get ass blasted here? But we all sat there, and I just waited to get ass blasted.
That's completely different, though. That's the area that you're in. They should be putting signs out in that area before you get to that turn.
Yeah. No, like I knew the turn. I've lived here for a while. I knew it. I was like, yeah, I might get ass blasted here, but still not driving through this school bus stop sign.
Exactly.
Nobody did. Yeah. So that's a good one. John, you got something yet?
So we're talking about asshats, right?
Yeah, asshats.
All right. So I'm trying to make a theme between my asshat and my awesome.
All right, you do what you got to do, brother.
Because honestly, the asshat could just be like universal. There's so much awful shit that's gone on this past week that like I really couldn't like comprehend what I should pick, because it's really all related and I don't know. But I'm going to pull this around in a second on the awesome. So I'm going to pick I think I'm going to say Steve King of Iowa is my asshat.
Oh, that's a good one. That's always a good one.
And let me
that could be a good one for a lot of reasons.
Let me take his quote. He said, "Americans, all created equal by God, with all the races and ethnicities, the nation, origins, legal immigrants, and natural-born citizens together make up the shining city on the hill." That shining city on the hill. These attacks are orchestrated by nasty, desperate, and dishonest fake news. Fake news.
Yes.
He went there. He is a representative. He is a congressman, and he's decrying fake news when terrible things go on in our country.
Well, and also Steve King is also an asshat for like about 7 other reasons, in that he is basically never, like, he says, has so many comments and statements that are just basically racist as shit.
It's always when you want to go find like the worst thing that could be said about something, they go to him.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Honestly, in the past week, there's a lot worse people that, like, you kind of alluded to. There's people's names that we could throw out there that are much bigger asshats than he.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna tie my awesome back around to him. So.
Okay. One of the things that, like, since Gatlin's off, I guess, taking a big squeege, I would like to point out that one of the problems with Steve King, just in general, as a Republican, he's a congressman, right? I'm not making that up.
Right. Congressman. He's up for election.
Right. And I guess the reason I knew that is because I've heard several people interview his opponent, who should win outright, in my opinion. But Steve King says so many racist and bigoted things that the Republican Party and a lot of his donors have disowned him in recent times.
Right.
But the problem is with Steve King is that since he is a senator in Iowa, congressman in Iowa.
Gee.
There you go.
It had everything to do with what you were saying.
Yeah. So since Steve King is a congressman in Iowa, whenever the presidential election starts to happen, everybody has to go. Every Republican candidate has to go to Iowa and kiss his ring. Like, that's one of the things that's so fucked up. Like, Steve King can say the most racist fucking thing you can think of, and then fast forward 6 months, and when Donald Trump wants to run for president, he's got to go to Iowa and sit down with Steve King and fucking shoot the shit as if Steve King is some kind of, gatekeeper for the Republican nomination, just because Iowa is one of the first, nominating, states. And
right down the fucking sewer, bro.
It's just shit. It's just so shit. Yeah. Okay. So John and I were just shooting the shit while Gatlin was taking a huge piss. My asshat of the week is the Kentucky man who decided to dress his kid as Hitler, his daughter as Ava Braun, and he himself dressed up as a full SSS soldier, and go to a community Halloween event. Now this fuckstick, I got a name. I'm going to throw this guy's name out here because, fuck this guy and everything he thinks of. So in Louisville, Kentucky, Kentucky man. I'm sorry.
We talked about Louisville quite a bit.
It's Owensboro. I'm sorry. Owensboro, Kentucky. I was mistaken.
Okay.
Owensboro, Kentucky. Brian Goldback dressed his daughter up as Ava Braun, dressed his son up as Hitler, and then wore a full Nazi SSS uniform to a community trick-or-treat event, and then complained when he got some shit that he then had to deal with the intolerant left. I'm sorry, the so-called tolerant left. I'm sorry, motherfucker. You show up in a full Nazi garb with your kids dressed up as Hitler and Ava Braun. You guys can Google this guy. You can, just Google, like, Nazi man in Kentucky. Pop up.
He was expecting to be accepted.
He had, like, the pictures that show up online.
What he didn't realize is he went to Louisville.
Right. Like, the smug look on his face when he's standing above his daughter and son is that, like, this is an awesome costume. Like, this guy was not like, this was the only costume they had left at the store. I'm sorry. It was like, this is the costume I picked. I'm gonna rock this shit in a community trick-or-treat event.
This would make sense if you're gonna say, like, I am an award-winning actor and I can take this terrible role and, like, make it
turn it around,
more awful than it actually fucking is. But no, that's not what happened.
Yeah. No. And this guy, I love the fact that this guy is so pissed off that he had to deal with the quote-unquote tolerant left. Like, no, you're a fucking Nazi. You wore that. You had a smile on your face when you took pictures. Like, he had the Nazi uniform on, had a smile on his face. and his son was dressed as Hitler, and his daughter was dressed as Ava Braun, and you had a smile on your fucking face. You thought this was fucking funny. So I don't give a shit if you lose your house. I don't give a shit if you lose your job. Like, fuck you and fuck everything you think is funny.
Yep.
That's my asshat of the week. All right.
My asshat has switched now because I think you picked him just because you had me and John on the podcast.
No, that just popped up like
you
a
had
minute
to
ago.
pick a guy from Kentucky.
Reneg.
Yeah, no, you already picked your asshat. Sorry, you actually picked a really good one, Gatlin. That's fucking bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so guys, this week in awesome. What has made you guys smile? What's awesome in this week? Let me know.
I'll go last.
All right, Gatlin wants to go last. John, you good?
All right. Yeah. So Jesus, my phone just died on as far as like what I was looking at.
I mean, you've got a family full of 4 right now, and you're good to go.
The tie back with, like I said, I was going to tie back my asshat with my awesome. So I want to talk about J.D. Scholten, who is the Democratic candidate for the House in Iowa. I don't know. I don't actually know what district number after we're talking about this, but he's running against Steve King, who was my asshat. So, take that for what it's worth. I'm guessing no Iowan at all will listen to this podcast, so it's not gonna like mean anything. But I was listening.
to really take your
Pod Save America.
Make your words appropriate.
Yeah, I was listening to Pod Save America, which hint to like giving credit to like much better podcasts, and they had interviewed him, and this was a guy who I think at the time like. I was working while I was listening to this, so I'm sure I missed bits and pieces. But from my understanding is he was a guy who, was working as a paralegal for a legal firm, a fairly prominent legal firm, doing very well for himself. And, he wasn't an attorney by any means, but he was earning a very good living. And I believe he ended up having an illness in his family, and he was returning back to his hometown. And he actually had an issue of trying to find, a job where I don't know if it's Iowa City or where exactly, Des Moines. It wasn't Des Moines.
Oh yeah, I remember this. He came back. He came back because he wanted to make.
He couldn't find a job. That paid more than like $15 an hour for. He had like a bachelor's degree. He had worked for a very high-end law firm, and worked on some pretty like high-end cases and what have you. And he really thought that was messed up. And then when he saw that Steve King was running unopposed, he pretty much said, "Hey, why don't I just run for the House?"
Yeah. No, you're John's exactly right.
By any means, but anyway, I don't know if he's going to win by any means. If anything, I really root for him because Steve King's a piece of shit. But the fact that he's really a common guy. He's like you or me, or like any of us could like. Granted, he worked for a fairly good law firm. At the same time, he's a paralegal. He's not like he's not a high flyer by any means, but he's a guy who thought like, hey, I can like help the common man make sure they have health care and whatsoever. And that kind of resonated with me when I listened to it earlier today. And I wanted to
I think he's also run as libertarian.
What?
He has before. Yeah, I think he had before. But what John's saying is, and I listen to the same.
I like the guy.
No, you're exactly. No, I'm not saying that him being a libertarian is a problem before, but what John
or Frank Harris, whatever his name is earlier.
Yeah.
So we got to give libertarians love somewhere.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things.
Libertarian love.
Like they're well intentioned, they just might be wrong.
Yeah. Well, and what one of the things John was pointing out that this guy had I don't forget his name off the top of my head, but.
J.D.
What's that?
J.D. Scholten.
Thank you, J.D. Scholten. One of the things he was really focusing on was bringing bringing jobs back to Iowa, that people could stay there. He was saying that there was something offhand, like something crazy, like 2,400 people had graduated from Iowa University, but only like 250 of them had been able to, like 258 had been able to find a job in Iowa at the time, and that was one of his focuses, and I think that should be a focus in every state. Like if you're going to be a state legislator, that should be the huge focus.
It's very.
I mean, it always should be.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because Iowa is kind of one of those places where it's particularly because it's like one of the first places for the beginning of the presidential process that it's kind of looked at as kind of a bellwether, like it could go either way. Yeah. And it generally has like a very purplish tint to it, but it went very red with Trump. And
yeah, it did.
So I'm really curious.
As it would be. I mean, there was no fucking Hillary didn't go there.
Yeah, at all. Yeah.
Yeah, true, but Barack Obama tore that shit up.
Yeah.
Several years ago, so
he didn't have to do anything. He was suave.
I know.
I mean, that's what he did.
Yeah, but
shit.
During that same time, West Virginia.
Don't act like fucking
when
Barack Obama campaign. He went suave.
I'm saying Iowa voted for him. West Virginia didn't. So Iowa is technically more progressive. I don't know if it's that more progressive, but it really, in the most recent sense, it's more of a Trump area. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to see in this midterm how progressive Iowa.
I mean, we just gotta find somebody to be suave.
All right. So apparently, Gatlin's idea of the Democratic platform is just suave.
Dude, be suave.
Yeah, that's a good point. Be suave. All right, so Gatlin, I guess you said you wanted to go last on Awesome of the Week. Are you ready to get?
Justin hasn't gone yet, have you?
No, I haven't. I was going to ask if Gatlin
go ahead.
Gatlin. All right, I'll go ahead. My Awesome of the Week is the fact that there is a right-wing GOP lobbyist that is apparently trying to frame Robert Mueller with fake sexual assault harassment claims, and it has blown up so fucking fabulously and so fucking stupidly. It's great. Like, it would be one thing if MSNBC was the only place, like if Rachel Maddow was the only person that was like, listen, somebody is trying to pay women to frame Robert Mueller ahead of the midterms and ahead of any report. It would be one thing if Rachel Maddow, as liberal as fuck as she is, was the only person saying that. But, like, The Atlantic said it, and then, like, apparently there's been dozens of reporters that have also been, like, fielding these calls. Like, it has blown up. And apparently the guy who started it has said, like, I didn't do it, but he's got a website that said he did it. Like, there are so many layers of bullshit and stupidness that happens here that's just deliciously funny. It's so great. And my only question is would Lindsey Graham, red-faced and screaming, believe these women?
Dude, this is almost as funny as fucking Megyn Kelly getting banned by NBC.
That's also hilarious. Because she's like, wait a minute, I just said blackface was okay. Why am I getting canceled?
I mean, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Official timeout. Mueller is a fucking Republican.
Yeah.
So
no.
think
everybody knows that.
Think what's going in his mind when he's like, oh my God, look at what these fucking people are doing to me. I'm going to have to go report to, like, Joe Schmo over in, like, whatever.
Who the fuck is he reporting to? Me? I'm the last fucking line of defense.
The fact that Robert Mueller's special counsel had to refer this to the FBI.
He's got his own little thing going on over here in the FBI. Or not really in the FBI. It's in the Justice Cabinet.
Hold on, John.
You
Hold
all.
on. Let me just say. Let me say something.
Hey, these people are trying to fuck me up.
Right. It's like what John's saying. As if when Robert Mueller walked into the FBI, they didn't know him from fucking sight. Like, it wasn't like they told him to sit down and wait for an appointment. Like, and when he walks in, they're like, and he goes, "Hey, asshats, I got some shit going down over here." The FBI goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. You were a former director of the FBI. Why don't you wait for..." No, they bring him, like, whatever he says to the FBI, they're like, "Okay, this guy's legit. Like, he's not gonna fuck with us here." Like, the fact that this whole fake sexual harassment thing, after the whole Kavanaugh debacle where Lindsey Graham and other Republicans are like, "Hey, listen, I'm not gonna say she wasn't sexually assaulted. I'm just gonna say you can't prove it was that guy."
But that's how they view, anytime something goes against a Republican, that's exactly how they view it.
Goddamn right.
They think,
it's gonna be hilarious when this shit hits the
plan
fan.
this shit to go against that said person.
Yeah. That's alright. Alright, so that's going to be funny. We got to wait for that. I guarantee you that's going to be something that we're going to throw out on the Woodscast for fucking weeks later.
Dead.
Yeah. Alright. Gatlin, you're up. What's the most awesome thing that's happened to you this week or you've read this week?
Most awesome thing. The Butts County, Georgia Sheriff's Department.
Like, okay, hold on. Before you even say anything, I want to throw out this out here. Gatlin has done way more research than I did for this. Because, like, I thought he would just, like, toss out something that he thought was great. Now, this dude's, like, digging down, doing the deep dive. I like it. Go.
Butts County, Georgia, they took signs and put them in front of every single sex offender's house.
Actually, I saw that, like, on my drive home tonight. Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and you know what? Like, I totally agree with Gatlin. I think that's awesome. I think that's a step, especially on Halloween, that's a step you should take. Like, you know, you guys know this,
Like,
but when
how
I lived in
cool is that shit?
Yeah, when I lived in Lexington, I happened to find out that a person that was a registered sex offender was staying at my neighbor's house. He wasn't the owner. He was just, the owner's brother. Then this was pointed out to me by other people, and he since then has gone off the radar. Like, if you look that guy up, they don't know where he is right now, which is bad. But if you know that there's a sex offender in your neighborhood, you shouldn't be able to send kids there to trick or treat.
But, I mean, here's what they did.
Or you should at least have a sign in the yard that said, "Hey."
Here's what they did. They found out where every sex offender was. The sheriff's department.
Well,
They
should know.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's actually information that's where
Well, I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They took a sign and put it in front of every fucking house.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
I think that's a great way of protecting kids. I really do. But Rachel and I, no, I'm not trying to shit on your awesome of the week. I think it's a great way of protecting kids. But Rachel and I have also had this long-going argument that our treatment of sex offenders doesn't line up with jurisprudence in a lot of ways. Like if a sex offender serves their time, when they get out, they're on the registry. Like, it's this weird dichotomy where they've served their time, but we still track them. And I understand.
How do you explain when a sex offender has served his time?
Well, when they serve whatever time they were allotted for their offense, like, technically, according to our and Rachel, if she's listening to this, and anybody who wants to jump up my ass about it at the Woodscast at 1776@gmail.com can.
You're still looking for that first email, right?
Hey, I've gotten one, but it was a buddy of mine. I know who it was.
Because you just popped into my next fucking...
Well, and this is the thing.
Bloody Bulger.
Right.
Oh,
well,
no!
This is the thing. Like, sex offenders and and that whole definition of offense, they serve their time, and by our legal status, and you know, if you're a lawyer, you want to email me and fucking fuck with me here, but once they've served their time, they've paid their debts to society. But as a sex offender, we keep them on a registry for the rest of their life because they have such a high recidivism rate. You know, there's such a high rate of recommitting that sex crime that keeps them on the registry. So like, there's this weird like, you know, dichotomy where they've served their time, but we're still gonna keep track of them for the rest of their life. It's, I don't know. It's one of those things where the law that we say we keep is different than the law that we imply for a very good reason. So
I would be concerned about like if you're putting stuff on sex offenders' lawns, like just a property law type of thing. Like, is that really?
I'm sure they put it on the city side of the fucking sidewalk.
Yeah, if that's the case, I guess that's fine. But like, if you're putting them like in their lawn, I guess if I were them, I'd be pissed. Not that I'm, you know.
Well, but they also can't be pissed about being called out because, like I said, when I lived in Lexington, I called a sheriff about the fact that there was a
many of times.
Yeah, well, you know,
Well,
a lot of different reasons.
You had many opportunities, as you should.
Yeah.
About the fucking person that kept parking their shit in front of your house.
Yeah. Oh, that my neighbor in Lexington was a complete asshat and ran a scrapyard out of his backyard. But the fact that he had his brother, who was a registered sex offender, stay in his house, and I called the local sheriff and I said, should he not have declared this to me? And the sheriff said, technically no, because now almost all registered sex offender registrations are online. The whole Big Lebowski scene.
Well,
where
fucking good.
Well, yeah, no, that's good, but everybody assumes that the whole Big Lebowski scene where you know Jesus goes door to door to say that he's a pederast, and has to hand you a flyer that with his conviction. That's not a thing now. Now, like,
fuck that
you're basically
shit.
You're basically expected to Google it yourself, and so that's where
I will gladly walk around Lexington and do that myself.
Well, you're more than welcome to, but if this no, actually, you're more than welcome to. Like, there's nothing.
No, I'm just saying.
As far as I know,
right now, go do it.
Yeah, well, as what I was trying to say. What I was trying to say is, if next year Gatlin would like to go in his immediate 5-block radius and put a sex offender sign on the street side of the sidewalk, I don't think there's anything illegal about that, because that sex offender is already registered online. It's also I think it's also a good thing to do. Like, I personally wouldn't let my kid walk around by themselves on Halloween anyway. And if I happen to walk up and there's a sign like that, I'd be like, let's get I'll buy you a Snicker. I'll buy you a Snicker for this house. Like, we're moving on. All right, guys, we have gone way longer than we have ever gone.
Well,
I would like.
We still got plenty of shit to talk about.
Yeah.
No, we're done. Gatlin, you can talk to John if you want to, but from now, let's just wrap this up.
So we're coming back with like podcast B tomorrow, right?
If you guys want to, actually, basically what I was going to tell you guys, if you guys want to Skype in when Shay and I do this shit on Facebook Live on Tuesday, you're game.
I'm actually totally on that, because like that was the first thing. Like last time I did the last one, I was like, we needed to do this like as results come in, because it'll be absolutely hilarious.
I don't know how late we'll go.
Because we won't even know what's going on at that point. We're gonna. I
don't know how late we'll go, because some of these California races could go like into the 7 a.m. of our time next morning.
I feel like we'll get a good
Oh,
honestly,
we'll have a good time. We'll have a good time.
12:15 right now Eastern time. We'll know exactly pretty much what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean,
we'll know a lot.
California is not that like surprise. Fuck
well, some of them could
I love
be.
California.
That is Encino, man.
Yeah. I will figure out how to pull this off. Technically, I thought I could just share Skype with Facebook Live.
I feel like there has to be some kind of like software that I don't know.
There's a bunch of software. I've seen it download.
I asked you about it a while back. I thought
we had such a fun time. Woods.
Yeah.
You are fucked.
Yeah.
I'm fine. Oh, we're gonna have a ball on election night. We're gonna have a ball. So,
dude, I'm over here wearing a fucking Luigi.
Yeah. For those of you who can't tell, Gatlin's fucked up. It's okay. We love Gatlin, and that's what we do here at the Woodscast. We don't kind of kink shame anybody about how much alcohol they want to or not want to drink, and that's what we do.
Mostly.
All right. So,
touch your face right now.
Let me. I wish you guys could see what I'm seeing. So let me run down some stuff real quick. If you guys enjoy this podcast, I hope you do. We enjoy the shit out of doing it. If you haven't figured that out, because it's always either me and my little brother, who I get to talk to very rarely. Now I get to talk to him once a week, and we have a ball. And then we have this rotating rogues gallery of friends that are dropping in with us, and we've had a fun time tonight. I mean, Gatlin's fucking giggling his ass off right now, so we've had a lot of fun. We hope you enjoy listening to it, and believe it or not, guys, people do listen to this podcast. It was like 79 people listened to the last one. I don't know who the fuck you guys are.
I mean, it was awesome tonight.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck you guys are, but love you to death. We enjoy doing it, and I hope you enjoy listening to it. If you want to shoot us a question, comment, or just bitch to no end, hit us up at the Purple Report 1776 at gmail.com. Fuck Alex Jones and all of his shtick. You can hit us up on you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at Woodscast and then on Facebook it's at Woodscast 1776. I'm gonna have to stop doing this because I got Gatlin and John just making fucking faces and waving their arms. So I want to thank John for doing this. Gatlin, thanks for coming on.
I love it.
I'm still here.
All right, guys. Thanks for doing this podcast. We'll get you back on. Hopefully you guys are free on election night. And this is the point where Shay says, "Toodles."
A rubber band man, just moving, just moving, just moving, just moving, just